Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar
Welcome to the party.
and Simon.
What the fuck is up, y'all?
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. Then we're going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, Kamar, how was your week?
You know, thank you, Matt, for asking. Welcome to new listeners and old listeners, and of course to all the Patreons, my favorite people in the world. I once was lost, but now I'm found. My cry for help was heard, and I am now a member of Clubhouse.
Oh, there you go. Are you going to invite us?
I could if you guys want. I don't know if you guys wanted to be part of it. Simon, you want to be in Clubhouse?
First of all, anything that's exclusive, why would we not?
Simon, I don't know.
Any club that would have Kamar as a member, I don't want to be a
Well,
part
let's-
of.
So there it is.
Let's point out first, Joe went from like, I don't think I want to be a part of this to on it pretty much every day.
What I realized the most interesting thing is, because it's hard to navigate a new thing. I actually shout out to Jeremy Rowe from Down Under. He's the one who invited me.
Oh, shout outs, Jeremy.
It's not easy to like.
Navigate?
Well, you don't know what you're looking for, what you're trying to find. You know what I mean? But
But isn't there just groups? Like if Simon joined, isn't there an alien or a Bigfoot group? He could-
there's tons of groups, but you gotta go in, and it seems like it's inconvenient because it's live. You know what I mean? Like you can't go back and listen to something, but it's like listen to a podcast where you can participate because you can ask a question. So you're more involved. Like it's more interactive. The one that got me is it was a FBI negotiator, Rick Cross or something like that. But it was super interesting. And then he was just taking questions from anyone in the room. So if you had an interesting question,
So how does it work though? When you have a question, is there like a hand up thing
Yeah,
and he picks
exactly,
you? Okay,
exactly.
gotcha. I understand now.
there's rooms that are so big though that you probably won't get your question heard or whatever. And there's more of a discussion between two people or one person who's just fielding questions. But it's just that different interactive. But I don't know, like for you it'd be great because you're gaming. You know what I mean? Having something in the background. But it's like just that live thing is weird.
Is it that you can't find your interests on there? Is that it? Like you can't find a group that you want
At
to...
first, I didn't know what I was looking for.
Fair
And-
enough.
And then what happens is you follow enough people, and then you start getting notifications of like,
Oh,
in
this
1
group
hour,
is-
this one's going to
Gotcha.
come on.
Okay.
So, I mean, at first I was like, it was just the exclusive thing. I just want to be a part of it. But now I've seen it's actually kind of cool, and the interactive thing. And I also just want to give a shout out to remotepostcard.com. Anyone, if you want to send any photo you have to anyone in the world, go to remotepostcard.com. This first week of March, you get 20% off. It's a good deal, helping a small business in
I can actually see Simon's disgust through the plastic.
But it's super cool, and support us by supporting people we know and love. But yeah, getting into Clubhouse felt so cool.
So that was your week?
And of course, the Floribama shore, I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about it.
No.
Simon, how was your week?
My week was okay, Matt. Thank you.
You cut your hand open pretty bad? You don't want to discuss that?
Yeah, right.
What
right.
the hell's going on with this guy?
I cut my hand open with an X-Acto blade, 7 stitches.
What the fuck?
Oh, you didn't know this, Kay? I'll show you my.
Well, I can
cut.
see the white thing behind the plastic
It's
curtain.
about 3.5 inches long, and yeah, it just was really bad.
But you were irresponsible.
I was stupid. I was thinking about something else, and the next thing I knew,
You weren't wearing gloves.
bingo bango. So, anyways, had to go to the hospital.
Do you think gloves would have helped him? Simon, do you think gloves would have helped you?
Gloves would have helped. It still would have cut me because the blade was so sharp.
Super
But
sharp,
I,
yeah.
I feel like you're cutting something with your...
I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm with you. I was just wondering.
I
if
don't
he
even
thought-
know how it happened, to tell you the truth, but it happened. Anyways, so I had to go to the hospital, and this is where the fucking moronicy begins. Okay, so it ended up being a 7-hour wait.
An hour for each stitch.
An hour for each stitch. Thank you, Matt. So I went in there, triple masked, by the way. I get to
Makes sense.
You get to the intake like right as you walk in the door,
Yeah.
and
You're at the Civic, obviously.
this is the Civic. Shouldn't have gone there. They give you like a 14-point question thing. You know, you're answering a lady. They're asking you all sorts of normal COVID questions. And then once you've passed that, you're allowed to go to the other line to check in before you sit in the waiting room. Okay. So answered those questions, went to the door. They pretty much ask you the same questions and then they admit you. The waiting room is so jam-packed with people, there is nowhere to sit. So I got a wheelchair and I rolled it to like...
How is the fucking Civic that busy?
It's crazy. An empty doorway, Matt, like way down the hall to try and stay away from all the, COVID-ness. Anyways, then I had to come back after they told me I couldn't be in the hallway. So they made me go back to the waiting room. And as I'm there, I'm listening to people checking in, answering the questions at the first place. And then this girl gets to the second window and I hear her say, yeah, I had COVID 3 months ago and I've never felt better and blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, fuck this. And I went up to some nurse and I said, look, this is insane.
Where's my vaccine?
I said, look, just tell me when I should come back and I'll come back. And she said, okay, well, I can see you're not going to be seen until at least 6 o'clock. So I was like, fine, no problem. This is after 2.5 hours of waiting. I just went home. Came back at 6. They said, yeah, it's going to be another hour. I said, yeah, here's my phone number. I'm out in my car. Call me.
But you weren't in your car, you went home?
No, for the last hour, I just sat in the car.
That was pretty nice of them to do. Most of the time, they'd be like, go fuck yourself.
They should do that, though.
Listen, this is what I'm getting to, guys. They said
Sorry.
I had to I had to become like angry, which they hate.
Yeah.
But I was like, this doesn't make any sense. She said, oh, we can't just call everyone. I said, you're already calling my name over the loudspeaker. I'm asking you to add 7 digits, you're already using your voice. Anyways, the lady ended up being really sweet. It still took way too long. They have no COVID protocol there at all. There were people puking in the hallways. Like, it was crazy, man. It was like
it's
Armageddon.
a hospital, right?
Yeah, I know, Maddie, but if you're showing any COVID-related symptoms, they should have a whole separate ward, a whole separate intake.
And if you're super paranoid.
Dude, shut up, Kamar. There are old ladies, Maddie, there are old ladies waiting there for 7 hours to be seen by a doctor. That cannot be good. There's a better way to do this, and I demonstrated it.
But first of all, let me explain to you the big issue. Okay, yours falls under emergency. You have a big gash in your hand. You can't just go to your doctor at whatever time it was. You have to make it. So you have to go there. I mean, you might have gone to a clinic and maybe they could have done it fine. But most people, what I've realized is most people go to emergency for non-emergency shit. And that's what
because it's free.
But your doctor's free.
I mean, if there was just some sort of deterrent that, if you go to emergency.
Come on, I don't want a deterrent. What they should do is screen you. And they should say, this is not an emergency. You have to make an appointment with your doctor. They don't do that, though. The problem also is that there aren't enough doctors. Like, I was on like a 1-year list to get a fucking...
So this is where the debate goes to, because we always talk about how, like, the U.S. system is, like, crazy because you got to pay. But if you have a good job, you have insurance. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you probably get better service.
Sure, I'm just curious, though. They took care of him for free. He waited 7 hours.
And if he was in the States and had a good job,
I would have paid.
His insurance would have paid for it, and they would have done him in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, that's not a better system, though.
I don't know. It's not good for everyone.
I know. I've been in a coma. That would have cost my family $1 million+.
Not if you had great insurance.
Okay, but what? Okay, Kamar.
Like SAG. Anyone in SAG, they always say they have really good insurance.
But guess what? You right now would have you would have no insurance.
Yes, and that's like when they talk about affordable healthcare for all that. It's like 60 million Americans who they're actually worried about because everyone else has insurance. And then what if?
But you forget that you pay a deductible on that insurance, and like it's not just you act as if your employer just takes care of your insurance.
We pay more taxes to support the healthcare. So I just wonder if, say, if I didn't have to pay those taxes on my paycheck, could I pay for private insurance? I don't know.
You guys are missing the point. I'm not complaining about waiting 7 hours. I'm complaining about how nobody is worried about fucking COVID.
The COVID protocol.
But Simon, this is the problem: is they are. That's why if you look 100 yards from where you were admitted, they have that giant dome that they've built that's specifically
that
for.
That thing is not built yet, and it's.
But my
it's
point
nothing.
is it takes time. Like, you know, I get what you're saying. It's been a year. We're not China. We don't build things overnight.
Well, fuck. Come on. Okay, listen. I'm not sure that you're on the right side.
But I think we are in agreement.
Yeah, because I'm not in agreement with you.
Well, no. I mean, really, it takes longer than a year. No, that's bullshit, man. They only started building that thing like 2 months ago. We've been in lockdown for how long? Where they've no, that's crazy.
But I
You
think
can't
we're in
cut them
agreement
slack like that.
that you should be able to say, okay, here's my number, some sort of page system. You have to be 15 minutes away from the hospital or something.
And wait, let's back up a second too. So my injury needed 7 stitches that could have been done in 5 minutes. They knew exactly what was wrong with me, and that could have been sorted out right away. I didn't need tests. I didn't need this. I didn't need that.
Yeah, but it's called triage. Well, I'm just sorry. That's
the
what
least important. They're saving
That's
lives.
what I'm
in
saying.
that
It's
area.
unfortunately that's what triage is about, and that's how they run the fucking system. I get it,
You
Simon.
should have cut yourself worse.
Simon, I completely understand what you're saying. In a world where there's 50 doctors there, which there aren't, they should just usher you in right away, stitch you up, and get you on your way. I'm not in disagreement with you. I'm just saying I understand the way triage works. You're not a high priority.
But you also understand, just like Kamar said, that healthcare here in our country is free, but it's not free. Like,
Well, nothing is free.
They're just getting you on the other end.
Yeah, sure, but saying they're getting you on the other end, like there are a ton of people in the States that don't go to the doctor. Period.
There are tons of Canadians that don't go to the
Yeah,
doctor.
but that's by choice. They're not going to the doctor because they can't afford it. And there's a big fucking difference there. If you choose, if you're like, I don't want to go to the doctor, I don't like doctors, that's one thing. That's fine. That's your
Universal
prerogative.
healthcare seems more civilized. I just wonder.
But you can't wonder. Like, think about it, Kamar. All I say is this. The States, every other country in the world, every other developed country in the world has some form of universal basic income. And they're all doing better than the States. Now, if you ask an American, they're going to say, no, we're the best country in the world. But look at like all the things that make a country great. And the U.S. is like 45th in all of them. Not to say we're high in any of them, but
The newest debate is dental. Do you think that falls under healthcare?
it 100% should fall under healthcare. What are you, fucking nuts?
No, I'm not even arguing. I'm just saying.
No,
that-
I'm saying to anyone that thinks
every
it
time
shouldn't.
the election comes up, they talk about it.
Do you know how much your dental health affects the rest of your health? It's insane. And yeah, for sure. What do you think, Simon?
It's a weird separation.
I think dental should be covered, and I don't think you should have to wait 6 years or 12 hours to make that fucking happen, man.
No, I think if there was some system, because I've gone there and done the 6-hour wait for what ends up being 4 minutes of actual procedure, whatever it is, the phone call thing, be within a half hour of the hospital. I think that'd be a nice.
Listen,
they don't do that.
I've been on both sides of this thing, meaning, shitty little injuries, but also prolonged injuries where I've gotten the runaround. Like, our system is majorly flawed. So I'm not in debate that healthcare should be free. I think that the top priority of any nation is to take care of its own, and I've said that many times. But we have a serious problem here, man. Like,
But wait, are you saying that because
infrastructure
because you had to wait 7 hours, that's what you're irate about?
No, I'm irate at the fact
protocol
that
at
they
the
can't get the
hospital was the
protocol
upset.
for COVID. Like, it's brutal, man. It
You
is
did not
fucking
feel like the
brutal.
measures were taken to protect people in the hospital. I think that's what I'm
And,
saying.
I get it, but-
it's like the same argument for the old age homes. Right from the start, it was, these are the people we have to protect, and then no protection.
I'm just lost because 2 months ago you were on the side of like this thing probably isn't real. Now you're in a
It doesn't matter. You err on the side of caution.
Fair.
Whether I believe it or you believe it or anyone believes it, it's in our best interest to just operate like it is real.
And sometimes you flip, and sometimes you flop.
I gotta ask, could you not have driven 45 minutes to Smith Falls and gotten taken care of right away?
I didn't know how bad the injury was, man. I didn't know if I was going to bleed out. I had fucking paper towel. Dude, I was
get it.
gushing blood.
But when the hospital says 7 hours, they know that you're not in.
By that time, I was already in there. I don't know, man.
Fair
I didn't really think it was going
Have
to
you
be
ever done
fucking
that?
7
Have I ever done
hours.
what?
Gone to Smith Falls.
Yeah, it's much faster. That's my new trick. Just drive to Smith Falls. It's gonna be an hour and a half both ways. You're gonna save all that time regardless.
Well, and I'd rather be driving than sitting
Very
in a
interesting,
fucking
Dr.
COVID
Jones.
incubator.
Kamar, think about it. The emergency at Smith Falls never has more than like a person or two at it, and usually they're like from Ottawa.
Anyways, this is so boring. We got into an argument in our opening.
We're already 15 minutes in. We haven't talked
we
about
don't
Joe.
even know how your week was, Matt.
Oh, whatever. I played the stock market and had a fucking roller coaster of a week. Let me just say this. The way I'm doing this is gambling. This isn't playing the market. What I'm doing right now currently is gambling.
What's easier though, the amounts you're working with, if you're able to buy 1 million of something and then that doubles 2 days later, that's real money. You know what I mean?
The point of investing, though, is not to double your money overnight. The point of investing is long-term gains.
And then take it, leave it in, take it,
That's
leave
it.
it in.
Like, Kamar, if you have $1 million, let's say you had $1 million right now, you could put it in like a high-yield dividend. Like, you could just invest in dividend stocks. High yield, low yield, doesn't matter. You're going to make $40,000 of passive income a year. And then if you leave that in there, it just compounds and compounds. And that's the real goal of investing.
But does it get taxed?
Well, this is the thing. If you have a TFSA in Canada, right now you could put 70...
Listen to you in all these fucking terms. What does that mean?
Dude, it's a tax-free savings account.
Okay.
So as of right now...
You need savings.
Well, yeah, but let's say you hit it big...
Touche.
Let's say you hit it big tomorrow, Kamar. Let's say you made $100,000 tomorrow. You can put $75,500 of that money into your TFSA, and then any money that makes is tax-free until you pull it out.
Why can't I put the whole 100,000 in?
You'll be taxed because the tax-free part of it, it goes up incrementally every year. So since its introduction, you're now at 75,500. It'll probably go up $6,000 next year, $5,000. It changes incrementally. So
Send us that Bitcoin, guys.
yeah,
listeners.
there you go. No, Bitcoin dropped heavily this week. Anyway, I also got a tattoo. My week was wild.
You got a tattoo?
Yeah, I got the two angry guys from the Muppets on my
No,
thigh
you
here.
didn't.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I don't believe you. I think you're totally being honest. Yeah, you got to show it.
Well, the camera's on. You want me to?
Okay,
I have to take my pants
we'll
off.
do it at halftime or something.
Yeah, I'll show you at
I
halftime.
can't believe you did that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You guys are going to hate me. I also forgot for the remote postcard, it's FUN21 is a promo code.
Fucking guy.
Waldorf and Stadler.
Send your
Yeah,
memories.
Waldorf and Stadler, Simon, you got it.
But you made it look like it's big.
It is. It's from there to there.
And it cost $1,000?
The tattoo?
Yeah.
No, it was $550.
Where did
never
you
know.
go?
Barnstormer. Shout out to Glenn and Dan.
Nice. Glenn Parody.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
friend didn't do it?
Dan, he's tattooing fucking.
Yeah, I bet he'll do it for free.
No, he won't. He's charging right now.
No.
I'm pretty sure he is.
That reminds you of the King of Brooklyn or whatever.
Dan is
that what it's
looking
called?
for all willing models
Okay.
to test his wares.
And-
so if anybody in Ottawa wants a tattoo,
A free
from
tattoo?
an apprentice,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Danny's your man.
You know what I was thinking, Simon? You know those 2 triple bogey shirts, the one with the bombers or the birds?
I know them.
I think I want to get one of those, the bombers or the birds on my shoulder. And Danny would be the perfect guy to do that.
Well, not yet. Right now, he only has like 10 designs that he's allowed to do, I think.
Yeah,
So you got to pick from one of those, and it's just simple line work.
It's all dicks.
Yeah, it's all penises.
It's all
just shafts.
It's all Calvin pissing on
It's-
whatever. Insert word here.
It's just dicks.
I'll look into that, though. That's very interesting.
All right. Well, let's actually do the show.
God, this was brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Well, whatever. Some people like us shooting the shit. Some people hate it. It is what it is. You want to go over the guest, Kamar, real quick?
I like catching up with you guys.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
First, no. First, you got to go over the Patreons.
There were no new Patreons this week.
Wow.
That's all right, though.
Shout out
That's
to
all
everyone
right.
on the Patreon, though. We've only lost one patron in February, which I think is our best. Now that I've said that, there's going to be a swath of them tomorrow that leave.
Well, yeah, I'm still on the Patreon. Goddamn, and they withdraw. But no, I say it every week. I love you all Patreons.
Yeah, much love.
More than any other person in my life.
So I'm doing taxes right now, and I was going through just real quick all the Patrons. I'm like, dude, I didn't realize we have Patrons. We have a Patreon in Estonia.
Shout out Estonia.
SC,
Yeah.
Population 1 million.
Really, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Benoit Junghans sent me an audio clip of how to say his name. So we'll have to do that for the post show. Remember you couldn't say his name?
No, I think I said it right.
Okay,
I think
we'll see.
I think he sent that clip to say I was spot on. Yeah, a wild week. More MMAs than episodes.
Yeah.
Boo.
Is it a boo or is it
it's-
boo earns?
listen,
Are we happy about that?
I don't care one way or the other. I find it very odd that we were like so steadfast because there hadn't been one for months.
Did he forget he was doing MMAs?
I don't know.
I can't. That's always just toying with the idea that I used to do MMAs, but
But that's it. So 3 this week and 2 last week. That's 5 MMAs in 2 weeks.
Maybe
Like,
it was a Spotify thing. They were like, hey,
what happened to the
this is
MMA?
how it was over there. That's
Maybe.
how it should be over here. We don't want to change anything.
I think it was more just a COVID sort of there no fighters were coming in or traveling anywhere.
You know what? He might be right too. They might have had a UFC protocol in place, because I know Dana was super fucking uppity about that.
So
shit.
in any event, as there was 5 Joe Rogan podcasts this week, there's only 2 that we cover because we don't cover MMAs. To the chagrin, as the Nagano one.
Ngannou.
Negranu is a fucking
Someone say his name
poker
because I
player.
said it and fucked.
Francis Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou, which is a compelling, great podcast. That aside, this week we start off with 1611, Freddie Gibbs and Brian Moses, to my chagrin. And then we ended the week with Christmas came only for Simon, 1612, Robert Bigelow. Does it sound like a porn name?
Bob Bigelow, for
This
sure.
is Deuce Bigelow.
Bob Bigelow.
Bob Bigelow
Male gigolo.
and the Space Pimp. They have a real thing going
Oh,
on.
we'll get to that. Yeah.
I did listen to a bit of the Dustin one. It's probably worth listening to. I mean, I will say this. If you're into MMA, all 3 of them are great fighters and probably worth listening to. I didn't get to all of them, but I will.
What would we have done if he just had 3 MMAs?
That's a great question.
Let's tackle that bridge when we get to it.
We'll do.
Yeah. You want to rate the week? Let's start with you, Kumar.
This was a tough one because Joe pissed me off a bit. And
A bit? Oh.
There's one guest that I don't think should have been there.
Is that Freddie Gibbs?
No.
Oh,
I'll give it a 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 2.5.
And yeah, I don't know what to do here.
The episode you guys think I'm going to like, I hated.
Oh, I know why. I think I hated it for the exact same
Yeah,
reason.
I know you did. I hated it. Didn't hate it, sorry.
No, you had an expectation and things you imagine you could have got out of it, and you got zilch.
I'm
But
gonna,
go ahead, Simon. No, please.
No, please finish.
No, I was just going to say I'm done having expectations for rappers coming on because it's not their lane. It's not the right, you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's fine. Go ahead, Simon. What do you rate it?
So I'm gonna give one episode a 1.5,
Yep.
and I'm gonna give the other episode a 2.5.
Are you asking me what the math is on that?
Just do the math. For
It's
me.
2.
Perfect.
Wow.
That's what this
I'm
week is.
shocked.
Yeah,
Shocked.
listen, I am uber shocked too, Kamar. But just
I'm
wait-
not. I know
wait-
why he.
wait
I know
for it.
why he didn't like
we're
Robert
here to
Bigelow.
find out.
Oh
we're,
yeah,
here, we're here to find that out.
You're gonna get an earful.
we're gonna. Okay, excellent.
Très intéressant.
All right, well, let's start the show. What number, Kumar? Freddie Gibbs and Brian Moses.
1611, Freddie Gibbs from Gary, Indiana.
Yep, birthplace of Michael Jackson. Also, one of the worst places in the States. And I'm not being a dick.
No, like a hard.
It is like a
hard done
really blue collar, dangerous fucking place. Super dangerous.
And Brian Moses. Now, this was a weird one because I don't need Brian Moses on the show.
Well, no, but would you have been fine with Brian Moses alone?
Sure. No.
So
no.
let me just
He's been on. He's been on.
Let me
Has he?
clarify
Yes.
something here for myself. Brian Moses is the Roastmaster guy.
Yes.
Roast Battle. He started Roast
So
Battle.
he has put on some substantial poundage. I hardly recognized him.
I don't know.
I physically, I don't know. I don't
Have
want
we?
to body
Hold on.
shame
Let me
him.
ask you this: are you saying that because he's been on and we've done this episode? Like we've done Brian Moses before?
Yes,
Really?
we have.
Yeah, he's been on. We've done him. Nice
Weird.
guy, but he's I'm going to sound racist, but he's a well-spoken individual, and he because of Freddie, he was trying to sometimes get hoodish. Did you notice that?
I felt like Joe was doing that far more than
Yes,
Brian Moses.
agreed.
Joe said, "Do you know what I'm saying?" Like an obscene amount
Joe
of times.
is like a sort
chameleon.
of a social chameleon.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Well,
he's just going to.
I still don't give him the pass for that.
I mean, I'm sure Kamara is going to talk about this, but at one point, Freddie Gibbs says he's going to kill that lady.
He can't kill the government.
Anyways, Joe was like, yeah, okay, we're about to get canceled now.
Yeah, like it felt like it was Brian Moses Joe podcast with Freddie Gibbs on the side,
yeah, even though he was in the hot seat.
even though he's in the hot seat. And first of all, it started off with the William Randall Hearst story.
I know.
Can somebody give me some background on Freddie Gibbs before we start?
So Simon, remember that video I showed you of the guy rapping with his kid on his lap?
Yes.
That's Freddie Gibbs.
Okay.
So Freddie Gibbs, I'd say like around 2010, 2011, he was big in with Young Jeezy. They had a falling out. They had a beef. And then around, I'd say 2012, he really became like a well-known name in underground hip-hop. And right now, as of right this second, I will say he's the hardest working person in hip-hop. And I would say he's arguably the best MC in hip-hop right now. Maybe behind Kendrick.
He's totally self-made, like
100%.
Not an industry plant anyway, shape or form.
Does it make sense that he would be on Rogan? Like, I get why the Ghetto Boys are on. You know what I mean?
So this is what I was going to get at is Freddie Gibbs to me doesn't fall under the, like, I think he's an incredible talent, a crazy rapper. He's released, I think I did the math, it was 7 albums in the last 7 years. So he's averaging an album a year, which is fucking bananas.
And it's not like mumble rap or like
no. He's a very good
derivative.
No. I've heard some people say he's like a one-dimensional. But for me, I look at it like this: if you can rip that one dimension, I don't give a fuck.
So the babies like that, everyone just has their flow and their style.
But this is what I thought. Kamar was. I was like, this guy's too. He's like having the RZA on. I get, because for me, Joe has to know who Wu-Tang is. He has to. Let me give you a good example. He goes, Freddie, and I love that Freddie Gibbs called him on this. He goes, I was listening to you during my workout today, and man, that shit rocks. And he goes, oh yeah, what song? And Joe just goes, I don't know, all of them. There was the iTunes Essentials. I listen, I get it. I give him credit. At least he listened to some of his music.
I think there's more of just a promo big up sort of way to make it seem natural.
My point, though, was to strengthen your point, Kamar, that he was clearly there as like a side note. Like, I think he was like Brian Moses was like, hey, I'm going on Joe Rogan.
This doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because there's no fucking way Joe Rogan knows who Freddie Gibbs is. No way.
No, he shouldn't. And so if Brian Moses isn't there, it would be a great opportunity for him to find out who Freddie Gibbs is. Now, that's not to say before or after they have more of a conversation, get to know him, but I don't know who Freddie Gibbs is.
Let me just say this. I thought Freddie Gibbs was going to duff Brian Moses out in the first 5 minutes, and I'll tell you why.
Duff him out.
Knock him out.
Like an altercation?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, just hear me out. So Freddie Gibbs last year spent 6 months in a Swiss prison.
For rape.
Yeah, well, alleged. He got off.
Pardon me. Yeah.
The point being, though, is Brian Moses as like they were talking about something early on, and he was like, well, it's like if you raped a woman. Like if you raped a woman, that was it. They were talking about gun violence first, and he was like, and I was like, what a terrible, because you could see Freddie clammed up immediately and was like, why you got to bring up woman rape right away? You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting. Then they said you got to be a friend to throw someone under the bus. But every time Freddie tried to talk about something, I feel like he got cut off. Like he was trying to talk about his charges, and it kept getting, like, I don't know if he wanted to talk about nothing, but it just kept getting sidelined, and it felt like Joe was displaying his knowledge to Freddie. Because obviously he knows Brian.
Yeah.
They have a rapport. They know each other. And it was a weird flex. Freddie's incorrect. There is cocaine in Australia. Or there was cocaine when I was there. And remember,
I think his point was that it's not like they label it as cocaine, but that's probably not what you're getting. I think it was his point. Maybe I misread it.
But we know those girls were trafficking like 60 keys to Australia.
How could there be no coke in Australia?
There is.
Come on.
Come on. Or what I was going to say is this, Simon. I would assume, though, that if you're getting cocaine in Australia, like uncut coke, it's probably through the roof expensive.
Oh, no. It was very expensive when I was living in Australia.
I bet.
Far more expensive than it was here.
Yeah.
Like premium. But yeah, anywhere, anything, it exists for sure.
Well, I mean, that's just how hard it is to get stuff, right? Like I remember being in New York or whatever, and a service having weed the same price as other hard drugs just because of the scarcity, I guess, to get good chronic in the city. I don't know.
I felt like Freddie Gibbs was saying hard fact, there is no cocaine in Australia, and that's just not true. And then I felt it was sort of callous when they were shitting on the people who died of monoxide poisoning in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, people were like sitting in their car or whatever, like they didn't use common sense or whatever, but it was sort of like the fact that they later on in the podcast said, could you believe people were callously like shitting on Texas for not being prepared for this thing?
So you guys did that 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was a bit of a lack of self-awareness.
I think you forget, too, that common sense tends to go out the window during like when
you're
an emergency. Yeah, you know what I mean? You tend to
panic
fucking
goes in, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they're recovering and stuff. But
No, they died. Oh, Texas is recovering. Sorry, I meant those people are dead.
on a whole, no,
Yeah,
that's a tragedy. I guess. I mean, if you don't have power, I don't know what you do. But I think, like, remember in Fargo, the guy they have the stove open in the cabin.
When they said that, listen, when I lived in New York, I sat with the stove open all the fucking time.
It's a thing to do.
All the time.
Yeah.
We do it at the cottage all the time. Like you wake up in the morning, you start a fire, you open the stove.
I can't tell you how many
Or
times
the
I was
oven,
sitting in front
rather.
of the stove in my little hallway just reading lines over and over again, praying. Because I had 20-foot ceilings. It didn't make sense. I had a 400-square-foot apartment with 20-foot ceilings.
So you got to loft that
You
up.
should have been
and move up.
building up, man.
Listen, Bill said it when because my mom moved me in, and then when Bill got there, Bill was like, fuck, I could have built you if I had known, we could have built you something out here. But whatever.
I want to put my bed right now on cinder blocks so I get another couple feet of
Like
storage
what?
space.
What did Kramer say?
Levels.
Levels, Jerry. Levels.
Levels.
Then they talked about sort of an interesting thing. Cam Newton got in a fight with a little kid who was saying he's washed up or whatever,
Yeah.
and like brush it off. But how?
What do you mean got in a fight?
He didn't get in a fight. He was at training camp, and this 15-year-old was chirping him. He's
Just
like,
say
you're washed up. You're done.
washed or whatever, and he entertained him where you're not supposed to. But like, say 13-year-old Mike Tyson, are you not gonna if he attacks you? Like, I can't fight you because you're too. You know what I mean? Because you're saying, at what age do you strangle a kid or?
Are you asking if a 13-year-old kid punched me, would I hit him back?
Yeah, who do you want to fight, Kamar? What's going
no
on?
no one. Is there a right or wrong? That's what they're saying. Like, there's.
It's funny you mention that because last summer at Kettleman's, I was an inch away from ragdolling this 14-year-old kid. And then my better senses hit me, and I was like, what am I doing here? I was like, I'm an adult. Like, I just, you know how you still feel 20 sometimes? Like,
It's a size thing then.
what do you mean?
Well, if you feel threatened, I think that's
Feel threatened.
if he's bigger than you and you actually think he can do you damage.
But
then
he's
you
11 years
protect him.
old.
And how do you know he's 11? Did you ask to see his ID before you knocked him out? Like,
I don't know. I don't ever want to fight anyone. It's just a weird thing. Like, it's crazy how fights used to happen though, but amongst kids and stuff. You know what I mean? And of course, no one cards anyone.
Well, they
Of course not. Well, because you all assume you're the same age.
Fights still happen.
Run in the same
I'm
groups.
Sure.
And then
Not as much as they did when we were young, I don't think.
Then another problem with this podcast I found was it divulged into boxing too much.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, a lot of boxing.
I thought there was no reason for maybe Freddie Gibbs is an avid guy, but Brian Moses is a comedian. I just didn't see. Joe loves to talk about the fighting, and I swear to God, I saw a clip on one of the MMAs, and it was the exact same conversation.
See, my thing is, I feel like lately when Joe has, I feel like there's flags that go up when Joe's kind of lost for conversation, and like Tyson and the table is one. William Randolph Hearst tends to be one. There's like a few things that when they come up, I'm like, oh, this is going to be 20 minutes of fucking, they have nothing to talk about. But usually stuff comes out of that. You know what I mean? Like they veer off into something a little fucking.
But then there was a point where Brian Moses apologized to old heads who might not think Mike Tyson wasn't the. But I think everyone agrees Mike Tyson was just the fiercest. Like if you have anyone in their prime, because that's always the argument, right? But Mike Tyson was just something else.
Well, the difference to me was like it seemed like it just seemed like Mike Tyson wanted to kill you.
And he was just so thick, like.
Yeah.
And it's not like, Joe Jackson. I just think that is definitely the most ferocious fighter there ever was in the sport of boxing.
Dude, when he threw a punch, the intention behind it was like so ugly. Whereas everyone else, not everyone, like George Foreman threw some fucking with some intent
He
too.
made grown men look scared.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch that Lennox Lewis documentary
No, on what?
on Lennox Lewis?
No, on what? on what platform channel?
Netflix?
No.
No, on Crave maybe.
On Lennox Lewis, fucking asshole.
It's interesting. I mean, he was such a great boxer, and he's like, the guy gets no love at all. He's not even in conversations, and I think he held the belt for the longest period of time, or defended it the most, or he has all sorts of.
Yeah, the reason is though is like if you, let's say you defend it and no one can remember anyone you defended against, nah.
No, but he did. He fought all sorts. He fought the Klitschko's. He fought. I think both of them, didn't he?
I think it's just
I don't know that for a
again.
fact.
His style wasn't.
It was just boring.
Super exciting
he
or whatever.
He did his job. He wasn't out there biting people's ears. He wasn't out there threatening to kill anybody's children. He just went out there and defended.
And I thought there was a Canadian connection.
He's
Canadian. Well, that's what
he's a turncoat.
He was born.
He was supposed to fight
I was just
for
gonna
the
say-
Canadian team.
I was just going to say I hate these because we do this often where we're like fastest man in the world, Canadian, Donovan Bailey, you know, and it's like
He's Jamaican.
Yeah, well that's it. It's like, come on guys,
American.
what are we doing here?
No, but he is like
Lennox Lewis was not born in Canada.
No, I think Lennox Lewis fought for the Canadian boxing team.
Yeah.
And then right before the Olympics decided to switch to the English boxing team. Or
Maybe. I don't
or
remember.
vice versa. I don't remember.
I think he came to us. I thought he fought for us.
Maybe he came to us. Maybe it was the other way around because he couldn't get on. I don't remember. I don't fucking know.
And then Joe started talking about people who reach a level of just the highest proficiency.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like Michael Jordan or Richard Pryor. And I'm wondering, like, whatever it is, whatever art form or sport or whatever, if they will discover a common theme, like through CRISPR or something that all these people have.
There's a gene in there, like a common. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Or is it just like what gives them the drive to just be the best at that? You know what I mean? And they really drive society as we know it, like as inspiration or what is possible. That negotiator I was talked about Michael Jordan, how he visualized everything, like winning games and just like the mindset. I think is a huge thing that besides the training and the exercising and the workout. But what is that? Is it taught? Is it like I don't know. It made me think about that.
I think it's mostly, if you want my answer, I think it's mostly,
please.
I think the drive, honestly, for those people, most of the time comes from spite.
Yes, the chip on the shoulder.
Yeah. Someone slighted them somewhere, and then forever they were like, fuck this. Because not that I'm successful at all, but I have that. Like, there's people, I have a laundry list of people.
But it's not working for you.
Oh, my story's not done yet. Yeah.
But that makes sense with Chappelle.
We got 20,000 people listening to this. It's better than it was
That
2
makes
years
sense
ago.
with Chappelle because he's got the chip on his shoulder.
I think
Yeah.
there are two different types of really successful people, though. There are like the geniuses out there who don't have to work at it. They're just amazing at that thing that they're amazing at.
Yeah.
There's also that type of person like Joe who is just so disciplined that they can overcome. It's like the 10,000 hours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to put 10,000 hours into something, chances are you're going to become really, really proficient at that thing. I don't know if you're going to become like genius caliber. Maybe you need to be born with that. But I truly believe that anybody can like
Excel at anything.
maybe not at anything, but at something. You just have to put the work into it. And I'm not saying that I have. I'm terrible at shit like that. But look, like, if you're good at something, pick whatever it is, okay? I'm a good tennis player. If I had decided, like, I'm going to work 10 hours a day for the next 20 years, this is when I was young, at being a tennis player, I probably could have done something. I wouldn't have been like a, Federer or whatever, but, like, I just think you can make yourself good at things. I've seen lots of people do it.
But there's probably an ideal window, like say from 16 to 26 or whatever, where you will get the best results if you apply yourself in that time.
Yeah, probably.
Like if I try to be a tennis player 10,000 hours from now, if I had the means, I couldn't.
No, but if you decided you wanted to be like an artist, Kamar, let's
Yes.
say, something that didn't require physical strength because you're old and slow, but if
I could learn how to paint and be a good painter.
I think, I think so.
But here's a good point. So I was saying this yesterday at the tattoo shop. I told Glenn, I was like, I got to tell you something about Dan here. I've known Dan since we were in like grade 8. And in grade 9, Dan decided out of the blue, he's like, I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to start doing graffiti. And
Really? He didn't do anything before that?
No. He just read a lot of comic books, according to him. So I remember I said to him, I was like, show me something, like draw me some graffiti or something. And he did like a piece, and I'll never forget it. It's still etched in my mind. I looked at him and I said, this is terrible. Don't do this. Stop now. And in his defense, like he just kept at it. And you can see the progression. Like he just kept fucking going.
Well, Drew is a great example. Like, just works so hard, and he's an amazing painter.
I think the
And
other
he
thing,
put the hours in. There's no doubt about that.
I think there's something we're missing too, and that is, I think the true key, Kamar, is having one single passion and drive.
Yes.
I think a lot of us get mixed up. I'm super guilty of this. Like, I have a lot of different things I enjoy doing and that I want to excel in, but because I can't pick one and just fucking hammer it down, I'm like mediocre at all
It's
of it.
like too many irons in the fire.
Precisely.
Cool down the fire.
Yeah, it genuinely, like, let's say photos, for example. Like, if I really wanted to be an incredible photographer, I should probably just go out every single day and take hundreds of photos nonstop for the next 10 years. But then that would be like, well, what about all the other things I'm interested in? You know what I mean? Like, even the podcast, like, I want to get better at editing. I want to learn like all the ins and outs of editing, the audio, this, that, and the next. I applied for Lex's job.
You did?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad I brought it up.
Never going to get it, but whatever. Still, I was just too honest.
Well, who knows? Maybe that's what he
If
wants.
that doesn't work with Lex, then who does it
Did you
work
tell him you believe in the 1-inch punch? Or the death touch?
Oh, I forgot. That was so long ago.
Well, I was just thinking about that because I know I was trying to be a comedian and I sort of feel like a comedian. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There wasn't a point. I just kept doing it. It wasn't like Monday I wasn't, Tuesday I was.
But see, you're a good example. Like, I did a stand-up show before you, and then I just never kept at it. And then I watched you, and I was like, fuck, if I just kept doing it.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Proof in the pudding.
But did you just decided at some point that you felt like you were a comedian, Kamar?
I can do it. Like I get paid to do it. Like it just like it was like I don't know, a couple podcasts ago someone said something like I think Joe said Paul Mooney said your joke or something and I was doing it and I told a joke and Mike McDonald, rest in power, came up to me and said something to me. So him acknowledging what I did made me feel like a comedian, but whatever the fuck that means. I don't feel like I'm a world-class headliner and I should be doing arenas, or maybe I should.
No, but you also know that if you had the capability, if there were 4 clubs in Ottawa that were rammed, if you know that if you were doing 4 sets a night,
oh yeah,
you'd be exponentially better, of course. And you'd probably write more and you'd be more driven to like.
And that's what happens, and that's why the road is so important. At some point, you've got to make that decision just to completely give yourself, like you said, to one thing.
Well, I mean, listen, you went and lived in Toronto and like
you tried,
shitty fucking rooming house just to do comedy.
It was great, man. Best years of my life. One actor, then they talked about sacrifices actors make or like physical.
Yeah.
He never talks about De Niro in Raging Bull.
Which is weird because they brought up Raging Bull in this episode.
There's oftentimes, Joe, there's one glaring one in the next podcast.
Did you just burp into the mic?
Wow.
I forgot
It's
what-
125
that's something I would
episodes
do.
in, and didn't expect that out of
De
you.
Niro put on like 50 pounds for that movie, eh?
I mean, that was a long time ago, though.
Well, regardless, it's just an actor doing that to themselves.
Regardless. De Niro's forever tarnished with me by that kick. I'm serious. Forever
That's fucking
tarnished
hilarious.
with that kick.
You know what bothers me the most, Simon? Is you can't do that because, for all you know, Scorsese had him do 100 kicks. And they chose that one.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
I'm just saying, as an actor,
I'm
like,
not saying it's right, Matt. I'm just telling you, all I see is the kick.
I get it. What I'm telling you, though, is as an actor, you're told to do the kick 100 different ways, and then they choose, as the director, which kick works.
I can imagine De Niro in like the editing room, just like, no, that one sucks.
You
That
think
one
De Niro's
sucks.
in the editing
that
room?
That one sucks.
Oh
That
my
one
God,
sucks.
you're
we're
fucking-
using that
This is
one.
what we have to do. We have to get Simon to throw someone through a window and kick him on the ground. And mean it.
Oh my God, done deal.
And we'll film it and we'll see how believable it is. Do you guys think Kimbo Slice did himself a disservice going to the UFC?
Did they talk about this?
Yeah, they brought up Kimbo. Yeah.
Really? Huh? Okay.
What do you mean a disservice?
Like he didn't kill in the UFC.
He was a backyard fighter. There's a difference between fighting like your local tough guy and fighting trained
But before he got into the UFC, just the
lure,
online
the lore.
stuff was just lore
He wanted to give himself credibility
and make money. I know, but
No, but
did
Kamar,
he help himself or hurt himself?
No, he helped himself. Listen, I don't think a lot of people know this. Kimbo was like the ultimate family man. Had like a bunch of kids. That's all he cared about. So for him, going to the UFC and doing the Ultimate Fighter, it was just to take care of his family.
Yeah.
That was all. So I'm with Simon. He did it for the paycheck to help his family out. And
It wasn't an
It
ego
helped
thing.
him. No. I don't think he made any money fighting in those backyards.
He would have ended up fucking with brain damage. Like, that's crazy. Those fights were crazy.
Those fights were
Where
crazy.
that guy's eye came out.
It was all crazy.
It was all crazy, and it's just so lawless, if that's a word. You know what I mean?
So get this. This is nothing, but I'm gonna forget if I don't talk about it now. So I got Disney Plus finally.
Yeah.
And they just got this new station. Like, they had just garbage, and then now
They have
like
stars.
Stars. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to look through because I'm totally out of things to watch. And all of a sudden I come across The Passage, which The Passage is like my favorite book ever. It's a trilogy of books by Justin Cronin. It's all about like a virus starting, and then
How apropos.
it jumps into the future of, like, you know, the world has died. It's a vampire virus, Kamar. So not quite the same.
Vampirus.
A vampirus, exactly. Anyways, so I start watching it. I'm so excited. And Zach Morris is like the lead, which is weird. And
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
yeah, but he's actually not terrible. Anyways, they don't do a great job. They do too much like prologue and not enough meat, I guess. And it didn't get picked up for a season 2.
Oh, it's a series.
Series,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, you know, those things sometimes have a way of getting rediscovered, and they
Yeah,
happen.
so if all of our, peeps out there.
Listeners write strongly worded letters.
Did you guys watch
Yes.
Greenland? You watched Greenland, Simon.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but I
fell
find those
asleep.
movies are
I-
just very
Oh, it's all anxiety.
anxiety.
Yeah, I imagine Simon just chewing his nails down real fucking quick.
No, I'm just watching
Taking
I
notes.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah,
do
I
that.
thought so.
I'm ready for that. I'm not ready for this.
Well, the funniest is I'm sitting there watching with Mary, and we have just vastly different views about life and how we want to live. Like I was like, do you go? She's like, what, to Greenland to live in the bunker? I'm like, yeah. She goes, of course. And I was like, ugh, never.
Yeah. Once you see those things coming down out of the sky, maybe that changed your mind. What not irked me, but like, oh fuck, was when they kidnapped the kid.
Oh yeah, that was
Like
fucked.
human selfishness.
know.
Oh, that
You know
was-
what I mean?
that was the worst.
Yeah.
That's the aspect you don't. Whatever you think, whatever you plan, you have going. There's one person could fuck you over that you didn't plan for them being too selfish or whatever. So
Well, what was Bill Burr's famous?
that's why guns are good.
Remember what Bill Burr said? Yeah, he's like, if you don't have a gun, you're just collecting stuff for the biggest guy on the street.
Exactly.
At one point, Freddie Gibbs was telling you about how
yeah,
he
Freddie.
fought a guy like 12 times. Every time they saw each other, he whipped his ass, which brought me back to the thing with Michael Jordan is you also need an opponent to push you.
Yeah, of course.
That helps. But
Can I say this too? Freddie Gibbs' Instagram has forever been one of the best.
we don't need Brian Moses. This would be so much more interesting podcast, I swear, without Brian Moses.
The fact that Freddie Gibbs' uncle, did he even mention him?
No.
Because his uncle was this like recovering crackhead who died like 2 years ago, but was like in all of his videos. What the fuck was it? Uncle Big Time. I can't believe he didn't come up.
He's a massive troll. Yeah, he's great. But he was talking about his mom saying, well, whoop his ass or whatever. And you know, there's that story like you're getting bullied and your dad or your mom says, well, you just walk there and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Did you have that from your parents? My parents never encouraged me to fight or stand up for myself or anything. I was thinking about that.
I weighed like 8 pounds my entire
So
life.
they
So
just
my
said,
family was never like, yeah, go
Run,
and
Matt, run, Matt.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't tend to get myself in those scenarios a lot, despite having a wildly big mouth.
You, Simon?
Yeah, no, I managed to steer clear of trouble most of the time.
But your parents never like gave you the stand up for yourself?
Can you
speech?
see my parents doing that?
No. I could. I guess it was a rhetorical question. to you.
Listen, growing up, my dad always had that like, if someone hits you, fucking smash them
So
back.
you
of course,
did have
He
that.
did. I did have that. Yeah,
Oh, I
but,
could
like,
see your dad
Yeah.
being like
Oh,
that.
for
Matt.
sure, dude. My dad also was like showing me R-rated movies when I was like 4 years old. So there wasn't,
A little bit of therapy. Britney Spears is not free.
Britney Spears is a slave.
She's a slave.
Did you guys watch the
No, Mary watched it.
I didn't, but I've listened to a whole podcast series thing about her, and it's gross what went on.
Her dad's just such a piece of shit.
What's scary, that's the sort of thing you're supposed to do to like an 80-year-old with Alzheimer's that doesn't know anything, and someone's just got to like step in.
Or like a kid before they become an adult, and that's what they did because she was, when she was 17.
No,
or
this
even
happened at like
younger.
30.
No, that's what I'm getting to. Is it should have been done, except it never stopped.
And she can't just say, okay, I'm going to take back my life now. It's just sort of a weird thing that everyone's looking at it like, oh, there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. Like,
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Her dad is like a diabolical fucking...
a right piece of shit.
well, he's talking to the media, trying to plead his case. So he's not hiding. So, I mean, I agree with you guys. But I thought Joe did her a disservice saying she's free now.
I'm
Or
surprised.
was misinformed.
I'm surprised they never did a show, like a reality show that was all the like bad dads, Lindsay Lohan's dad, Britney Spears' dad, and put them all into like a mansion together and see what happens.
You know what the problem is? I think it's that the parents feel as though the kid never would have been famous if it like wasn't for them. You know what I mean? Because they're like, you what? You were 6. You were gonna find like.
Well, I watched a documentary. He was nowhere to be seen. It was the mom, and I don't know where the mom is now. But it's just it was disturbing. And
you know who made out great and all that? Kevin Federline.
Kevin Federline did, and that's where there should be a. They started talking about alimony. There should be some sort of just
Cap
or
hard cap on it.
something, eh?
Are you fucking nuts? He gets $40,000 a month for life.
Remember there was the other husband too, Jason Alexander. Do you remember that guy?
He was a minute, and
He was like just a dude.
They got married in Vegas on a whim or something. It didn't last.
Oh
a
no,
month,
that's right.
though,
They
isn't it?
they annulled it the next day. Like her
Did
best
they?
friend. Yeah.
But this, I'm accustomed to a lifestyle.
Oh, it's so fucking.
Isn't that the most privileged fucking
I've never heard that, yeah.
notion there is? Like, well, you're
Who
gonna have
said
to get
that? Timberlake? Or
No, that's what.
This is
No,
the
that's
argument with these
that's the
divorce
alimony
cases and
argument.
stuff.
Is that I'm accustomed to this. That's why billionaire wives
yeah.
end up with half because they're like, well, what am I supposed to go back to living a normal life?
Well,
yeah,
that's-
motherfucker.
That's when Freddie Gibbs said, "Well, you can't kill the government."
Yeah, because Brian Moses did the taxes, and there was a very awkward silence.
Yeah.
Which could have been
it
like,
was
just kidding. But he actually sounded sort of violent, which did not support him saying about his charges earlier. But Freddie's street, and
He's
obviously
fucking
loves his kids.
Yeah. Listen, if you listen to his raps, it's all cocaine rap.
They kept talking about cocaine and freebase. And it was like, well, actually, I'm an expert in the field, but he
yeah.
was sort of sidelined it just a little bit. So
oh,
like,
no.
I mean, I don't know. I heard.
It's all cocaine rap. Don't get it
Freebase
twisted.
is smoking coke like crack, right?
Freebase is taking cocaine, processed cocaine, and boiling off so it's just to get to the purest part of it, taking out any impurities, whatever is cut with, and then smoking what's left of that.
Interesting. So it's like nothing if you're buying it off the street. You're just burning everything away.
I could tell you stories. Then the interesting thing that, because we've been like, the American government hasn't done anything for their people. All they got was $600. But then the EED thing,
Go on.
the $30 billion that's been frauded from California, they were sending out all these debit cards, and you could just apply to say you're starting a business or something.
I didn't hear
So I
about
think
it.
there has been forms of support, but not what we think like are the SUR payments or something.
But I think it's state by state, maybe.
I'm just
so,
gonna
yeah.
go back to like people weren't getting their money, but famous people who own companies who didn't need the money were getting the money. So there was money going around. It just wasn't going to the right places.
the people who need it the most, which
Like Tom Brady,
Makes
he
me-
needed it the most.
He's definitely struggling.
yeah, that's not a good look. But do you guys think that maybe this COVID pause in like the rush and bustle of the world slow down was an opportunity to sort of like fix things that has been squandered or hasn't been taken advantage of? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I believe.
I don't.
I think what he's asking is like, do you think we took advantage of this downtime? Like as in, repairing the earth, figuring some things out.
Yeah, like a moment of pause to look at what's important or whatever.
I think it's too hard when we're all so scared. Like, it's different if this moment of pause had been everybody just takes a break because we want to do good. You know what I mean?
Kamar, I think you're going to see it once it's gone. I think you're going to see it individual by individual. You're going to see it both ways, though. You're going to see people that were probably on the edge before this thing who like slipped into a real shitty hole. But I think you're going to see a lot of people that bettered themselves during this thing, whether it was working out, reading more, getting a
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree.
I think there's a lot of people that are going to come out of this slightly better people. And maybe, you know what? The sweet and the sour. Maybe we'll appreciate every little thing that we took for granted before.
This will be interesting. It'll be some lore passed down of the days of COVID.
I mean, again, the Spanish flu was a thing that killed a shitload of fucking people. And, you know.
But it feels like that's such an afterthought.
And then they had the Roaring 20s.
I didn't hear about the Spanish flu or think about it till this pandemic.
But that's what I'm saying is that's how it works. That's how, 20, 30 years down the road, we'll forget about this. Like 9/11 isn't spoken about as much as it was.
Oh, no, I'll never forget about this.
And I would imagine that just like anything else, Kamar, when this is finally righted and, people have their vaccines and all of that shit, that a lot of the populace will forget.
Even though, Kamar,
back to normal.
You won't forget
someone
for
born
sure,
today
but 50 years
won't
down
know.
the road, no one's going to know or care.
Someone born
It'll just
today
be a
won't
thing written in the
know.
books. Yeah.
Or have the feeling of 9/11 or something.
I'm just saying, like, you're going to get back out there. You're going to start going to bars again. Everything, knock on wood, is going to go back to normal. And then it's normal.
I wasn't really going to bars anymore either. And I don't know why I would ever. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything except for stand-up, going to the club or whatever in that aspect. But I'm not missing out on anything. Like I said, I've said before, people in their 20s and stuff must be going insane. But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, having the shitty winters we do too makes it, because you knew you were going to be cooped up pretty much anyway.
It feels like this February has flown by, I think, because of COVID or whatever. I don't know. It's just been better. Whereas if you had lots of stuff to do and you have to deal with the cold and stuff, because the biggest thing is food waste and starving people, right?
Wow,
They're talking about this
segue,
podcast.
right? Fuck.
No. Going back to taking advantage of this time, like you've worked at a big convention center or a hotel or anything. Like it's crazy the
How much
food
food
waste.
gets wasted, yeah.
And there's still people starving. That could have been something that we figured out here. Just like we were saying, Simon at the beginning, like they just found $80 billion to give to everyone. We could just fix problems.
Yeah.
Well, they can't though, because the economy's gonna crash. You can't just print money fucking.
Or can you?
No, you're about to see that you can't.
We're about to see, definitely. And then there was an awkward part. Joe's recall is how he remembers the Marion Barry story.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, eh?
Like he set up like, I did this, I did that. And then they played the clip and he did nothing. He did absolutely none of the stuff he said. He was just there along for the ride.
I don't even think it was Marion Barry.
No, it was Marion Barry, but it was all...
It was Opie and Anthony, fuck.
No,
and Jim Norton.
Jim
It was
Norton,
Jimmy
was the one who talked
Yeah.
to him. But Joe's like, I took my chance and my proudest. And I had him on the spot. Like,
That's when he's like, fucking Jamie. Wish I didn't have somebody who's this good at finding videos.
You found that one quick, Jamie.
I thought for a moment, you go, oh, geez, that didn't happen at all like I remember it. But he just sort of glazed over that. It was a good opportunity for him to point out Doug Ford was a successful
Crackhead.
crack smoking mayor, or rest in power. And how many things are entrapment?
You're going to have to be more specific, dude.
Well, they're saying the FBI set him up. Like
That seemed like it was entrapment. When you have the ambulance standing by.
I swear, half the terrorist cases that they prosecute are like they find people who might have been interested and then sort of bring them down the line, and like the RCMP or whatever just have to work for them and they have arrest you. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
the story that Joe always tells about the the woman cop who becomes the boyfriend of that kid to find out he gets him to buy her drugs and then busts her.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I just think like probably 50% of these things like is entrapment, and I don't know.
Well, that's funny how, you got to tell me if you're a cop.
Yeah, that's
that
not-
whole thing.
yeah.
And it's not true, but
Yeah.
like, I wonder where that all started, It's like the Bears. The
cops spread that.
I was gonna say some cop was probably like, if I'm a cop, I have to tell you
I
that.
have
The guy
to
was
tell
like,
you.
"Oh, are you a cop?" He's like, "No."
Went and told all his
That's it,
friends.
yes.
Like if you're the cop, you honor that once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't do anything. The guy goes and tells everybody, "Hey, guess what? I found a loophole."
He just goes and okay, listen, guys, I told this one guy this. Give it a year, it's gonna spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
You listen to or watch Tom Segura way more than I do, but he's like something with sick videos, right?
Oh God, yeah.
But the video that he described, I thought Freddie Gibbs was going to punch Joe Rogan in the face.
I was eating.
What
And I
video-
had to
what are we
stop it.
talking
The
about?
prolapsed anus touching.
I didn't want to say
I
that.
must have missed that part.
Joe's talking about a video so your mom's house does these live shows
Yeah.
where they show stuff that would absolutely never, ever, ever make it onto any
It's
real
pay-per-view or
platform.
something, isn't it?
It is. It's like $10. You get to watch this live show, but they show videos in that are very disturbing.
Yeah, no, I've watched your mom's house, just the normal show,
Yeah.
a couple of times.
Oh, this is
and
like
I
times
was like,
50.
I don't like this at all.
So the video Joe's describing, I guess some guy is fisting two guys' assholes.
Gross.
Oh, I'm gonna puke talking about it. It's so fucking like literally.
Yeah, enough.
It doesn't matter.
I thought
get
we
it.
all knew what it was, so I didn't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah,
go that
no.
far.
I didn't want to. Yeah.
But
Maybe
is
you
there-
should pull it up.
Kamara was literally eating, and I was like, whoa. Yeah, and then
But it's like, at what point does Tom have a problem? Because I think Jamie sort of said that too when they were talking about it, like,
You know when he has
did
a
someone
problem?
send that to Tom, or is Tom like
No, they get all
searching
that
these
shit
things-
sent. They get
or
all
is
that
he
shit
searching
sent to
this
them.
When
stuff
he
out?
ain't making money off it anymore, then he has a problem.
Fair enough.
But for every second he watches that and he makes dollars, he has zero problems.
I just hope no one ever sends me that sort of stuff. I guess I'm blessed. That I
Oh
don't
well, it's
get-
coming
I was
now.
just
It's
gonna
coming
say,
now.
prepare yourself.
Kamari's so transparent. I hope nobody sends me dick pics. I definitely don't want those.
No, I want the dick pics. All the dick pics. I just don't want two prolapsed anuses rubbing against each other. The pink sock, I believe it's called. Oh,
The Portland pink sock. The
This
good old
is easily our worst episode.
Portland pink sock.
my. Well, it's better than this episode was. The language barrier. Is that the problem? We've talked about it a million times. They talked about it again. Babel. Is it holding us back? Because I had this conversation. That's what I think the biggest separator is.
Between humans?
Yes. And someone argues, no, it's cultures. Cultures what make us so different.
And you think it's language that makes us different?
Well, just why the Russians and the Americans are like, oh, I thought you were saying this, but you're saying this, like the tone, the whatever.
It would definitely be easier to figure out intent, I guess, if we all spoke the same language.
Or just understood what each other was saying.
It must be location that makes us different, though, right?
I think everything makes us different. Like, I don't know.
No,
Like,
whatever location, those people still disagree. or
If no
whatever.
one could speak, let's say everyone was mute, okay? That humans just had no vocal cords or whatever. There would still be a massive difference between a Russian, let's say, and a South American.
okay, but without vocal cords, can we make it as far as we have?
No, is there a difference if there's no language?
Well, I
They need
mean,
water, they need to
just-
breathe.
Yeah, all those things are the same, but you're talking about one person who is living in a climate that's freezing cold and another who's living in a climate that's really warm. You would imagine that right away those things are going to cause differences not based on language at all.
But hold on, Kamar brought up something there as well. If you think about it, there's Russians that hate Russians. There's Americans that hate Americans. So it's not really a language or a cultural thing. Like we find you hate your neighbor. Like there's,
Unless you're religious, then you have to love thy.
sure, but you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of people that live down the block from each other that have completely opposite viewpoints, hate each other, hate the other person's viewpoint. So I don't think language is the thing that's holding us back. I think it's human nature.
We'll see. We'll see when. If we get to a point where, because you remember Star Trek, they had the thing. You could just touch the thing on your chest, so you'd understand any alien or whatever. Because that's another thing. If there's aliens, we'll get to that in the next episode.
But we already have that touch thing in a way.
So here,
it's rudimentary though. Right now,
here's
Not really. Like if you have your iPods, your ear, whatever, the AirBuds in your ear, you can open up Google Translate and someone talks to you and it'll translate it to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's just going to get better.
That's what
and
I'm saying, is
we'll
like
see,
we're-
maybe 10 years from now we'll really be motoring. Sorry, Simon?
If we could all read minds,
Well, that'd be terrible.
would we? How would that work? Like, do you read minds in language? Do you think? Like, if I was trying to read a Russian's mind, would I be able to read his intent?
Or is it
Or is
pictures?
it? Am I reading like a language I can't understand?
Well, that's interesting too, because like, so if you're reading someone's mind, are you just reading their thoughts? Because your thoughts are in English.
Your thoughts are in English. Your
Well, 'cause
thoughts
you're
are-
English,
Your
right?
thoughts are in pictures, like Kamar said, that your brain is then transcribing, I'm using air quotes here, into some sort of like audio nonsense that's coming out of your mouth. But I'm kind of with you. Now that I think about it, it probably all happens from like feelings and pictures that then get processed into words.
It's interesting. This actually is a big chunk of the next podcast. that
Which we'll get to, yeah.
Yes. Wow. You're going to be so busy.
A couple more things. They talked about absinthe. Have you guys ever had absinthe?
No.
Because it's sort of like a psychedelic.
I've had
Well, that's like the real. That's like the real absinthe. though.
I've had absinthe, but not the way
Not
you're
the
supposed
European
to do it, like where you
with the
burn
sugar.
it and the yeah. I've just drank absinthe before.
And then Moses asked Joe, "Have you ever had lean?" And Joe goes, "No." And then Freddie goes, "I had lean," and they cut him off again. And every time Freddie was coming with where he would be the expert or whatever, or the forward-leading opinion, he got cut off.
I agree, yeah.
Railroaded almost. Joe wasn't like interested in him or something.
Let me ask you this. You started by saying, I know nothing about Freddie Gibbs. Did you learn anything about Freddie Gibbs? Like, let me ask you this. Do you know anything more about Freddie Gibbs' rap career from listening to this podcast?
No.
Very odd, right?
In a
The only thing you might have learned
4-hour podcast,
in 4 hours, the only thing you learned is that he's nominated for a Grammy.
and he doesn't like Trump.
Yeah. I actually believe I'm not.
Oh, now we got to the root of it. I get it.
I'm not-
I see.
Hold on, too. I'm not certain, but I believe he's nominated for both the albums that he put out this year for Best Rap Album.
I wouldn't know. I just listened.
Oh,
We
there you
talked
go.
for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Kamar wouldn't know. He just heard, I don't like Trump.
No,
in minute 17.
no.
And it
Hold
was
on, though,
fun.
Kamar. He also said, once Trump became president, I never made more money.
Yeah. Well, that was my argument. I said a lot of people are thriving, even though they hate him. Whatever. Maybe there's no cause or.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, Freddie was someone who was like, yeah, I made a lot of money, but fuck this dude.
Do you
So,
think the young Donald is going to try and make a push for
Yes.
the next election? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know, man.
Not for the next one. His dad's going to run.
Donald
now.
Trump. Donald Trump Jr. or Barron.
Yes, Simon.
Not-
Donald Trump is
not
going to run.
Barron.
Oh, Barron will run down the road for sure.
Barron's a
I
strappy young lad.
truly don't think he's going to run again. I think he's.
Simon, let me put it to you this way. I have a feeling that until I bet you the next 10 election cycles, that's 40 years. No, I bet the next 5 election cycles, the name Trump will be.
Well, that's why I thought like his son, because that's like perfect for Donald Trump. It's like being a grandfather, you know, you get all the perks without actually having to like be the bad guy.
What's crazy is just dawned on me is that Donald Trump can still get CIA updates every day.
I'm sure they're working around the clock to end that.
Even as an outgoing president, you can get CIA updates every day.
Yeah. George Bush was the only president, senior was the only president to ever actually exercise that, but he read them every day.
Well, he ran the CIA.
He was, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. So, but that is a thing presidents have.
You're sure of that?
I am 95% sure. How about that? I'll Google it after. So write it down somewhere.
I got a
Then Joe went on a long diatribe about the Gracies. Mm-hmm. It was like 90 generations of lineage, and that idea of like shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And like any offspring of LeBron, Michael Jordan, Tom Hanks kids, or you know what I mean? That just must suck that you're just, I mean, you can do something else, but if you choose to do what they do, you'll just never be as good as them.
Yeah, but let me ask you, like, most people would die to be an actor, even at the level that even Chet Hanks is at. So, and to be in the NBA is like most people's dreams. So even if you're never going to live up to who your parent is, it's still pretty fucking sweet.
the experience is fine, but maybe the view of outgoing people. Well, you're not this or whatever.
You know what, though,
It's some
Kumar?
sort of pressure, I guess you could choose to or not put on yourself.
But that's also a generational thing. People eventually will forget. Like, the younger generation won't know who Tom Hanks is, really. And then they'll just know Colin Hanks. You know what I mean? That's sort of same thing with LeBron. Like, the younger generation, once Bronny comes up, they won't have watched LeBron that much. It'll be like Jordan to this generation. They won't.
Well, I think the best advice is do anything but what your
parent does.
super successul.
I'd say the opposite. You already have all the ins. Like,
again, I feel like you're just putting undue pressure on yourself to. I understand what you're saying. Just to be in it is winning, but
yeah, that's how I feel.
There would be some sort of pressure.
Like, it would just be weird if you were Isaiah Thomas's son and you're like, you know what? I should buy like a laundromat.
Yes, and be a successful business,
But that seems odd to me. That's all I'm saying.
or be a half decent point guard. I don't know. Just the pressure offspring could feel. I thought that was an interesting discussion.
So, Maddie, listen to this.
yeah.
So, as a courtesy, former presidents are typically assured continued access to the country's secrets when they request it. Okay, so you are correct.
Okay.
As a courtesy.
Yeah.
This article goes to say, but with Donald Trump's personal debt, $400 million, and his proclivity to share secrets with foreign adversaries make him a security risk. As a private citizen, he could never qualify for the security clearance that was conferred upon him as president.
Wow.
The decision to pull the plug falls to the new president. So, yes, you are correct, but they have to not have been too much of an asshole.
That's
I guess.
interesting. That's very interesting.
But what?
Wow.
What can you use that information to make money or?
Donald Trump could and would probably. Yeah.
Well, I think the idea, though, is that you're like, maybe you're aware of plots that are happening that you could be involved in, or, maybe one step removed from, I don't know.
I was just going to say,
I feel like it's harmless.
I don't. I think the CIA could provide you with a great deal of information that if you had the means that Donald Trump has, you could make a great deal of money.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, though, is there? In a
I think
capitalist
they're
it's
society?
called
more
insider
worried
trading.
about the secrets.
I get it.
but-
Yeah.
so-
I'm just,
That's what I
Yeah.
could see the problem is intelligence breach or something.
Putin, don't worry about it, buddy.
Did Freddie Gibbs say it's a shame R. Kelly's in jail?
yeah, that came up
But
at one point.
So
Did he
did-
flip back
so did
right
Joe.
away?
Joe went even harder.
The whole thing got weird.
Super
Yeah.
weird.
And they all go, we're just joking here. But I feel like they forgot they're being recorded or something.
First of all, I want to say this. R. Kelly's terrible. Not just as a person, but like, how could you listen to any of that music and be like, this is great?
Right.
He just talks.
Thank you.
It's like spoken word with a melody.
It is hilarious that the real talk, though. Real talk.
It's-
real talk.
Do you have your passport? Robert's gonna bring you to America. Like, fuck.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
But he can sing.
Here's the question. This
He's
is
not talentless.
This is what they were trying to get to: is can you separate the artist from the art? And that's a good question, right? Like, look, you have this amazing painting, but it's done by I don't
Hitler.
know, insert thing here. Well, that's a bad one. Hitler's a bad one.
But you see what I'm saying? But that,
No. Is you look at a painting, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Oh, Hitler painted that. Oh, well, that's not a good painting. It's
Well, for sure, nobody's liking Hitler's paintings. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's getting away with that. So let's
you see
find
what I'm saying,
something
Simon?
that
But hold on.
some people can let slide, and then we can have the conversation.
but Simon, my point was that sometimes what you've done is so egregious that maybe you can't separate the art from the artist, right?
So fair enough. That yes, but what if it's not
Genocide.
genocide egregious? What if it's just murder egregious? This guy killed somebody.
But what about
Is that
Epstein? Like, what if Epstein?
horrible, too egregious,
Okay,
right?
this is a problem though, especially when you're successful in this example of it's like 14-year-old girls. He could have every 30-year-old woman. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, let's have a tough conversation for a second, because I am a fan of Freddie Gibbs' music. Big fan. Hearing what he said during this podcast, do you think he could potentially be guilty of some form of rape in Switzerland?
I don't want to say anything. Here's another example. Though.
I don't know the details of the case, but I could see if you told me what it is. There's no way he did that, or that's possible.
Again, I'm not, but I'm just saying is like, you know, he spoke about monogamy a lot and like how
He
he
doesn't believe in monogamy.
That's what I'm saying. And
Well,
he
he's polyamorous.
yeah,
right?
fine, and that's fine too. But then
Freddie's
you know,
a dog.
sure. And then when you hear him talk about R. Kelly, like I'm just saying, it didn't bode well for him as someone who.
No.
So, but Simon, that's the good point right there. Is like, so he didn't. You know, I can sit here and be like, well, he didn't get convicted of it. But either way, I'm like, I like his music either way. He might not be a great dude like as a person.
What about Juice World? There's a good example. Is that guy's name, Kamar?
Rest in
I was
peace.
just gonna say, where did you pull that out of?
Well, because we've already had Kamar and I had this discussion because I listened to a thing on Juice World and they
Okay.
talked about how the horrendous things he did to his girlfriend.
No, this is XX Tentacion.
Oh, XXX
yeah, okay.
Tentacion.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't
sorry.
think that was Juice World.
Sorry, another guy who died. I'm sorry.
That's all right. You're old.
He did horrible things and then came out after and was like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, whatever. And Kamar loved his music.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you listen to this guy, man? Like, that was too much for me. I couldn't separate the art from the artist, especially because the art was so bad.
But this is what I was going to say, Simon, is that's an easy one. You didn't like the art to begin with, so you're like, fuck this guy and his shit music.
But if he had been a good rapper,
Yeah.
even if I didn't like it.
So if
I
he had
could
been a
probably-
Freddie Gibbs level of
I
rap,
could
'cause you've
probably
heard-
appreciate it. I don't even think I've ever heard Freddie Gibbs, frankly.
No, remember I told
Well,
you, I
that-
showed you that one
yeah.
thing and you were like, aside from
It
his
was
son
amazing.
not blinking for 2 minutes, that was the first thing you noticed. Yeah, you were like, this guy's nuts.
And was that off the dome?
No, you and I'll show it to you at the break.
No, I watched it.
Oh,
but that's my whole concept.
No,
Like,
that's not
so
off
you
the
think-
dome.
But
no
some
fucking
of it
way.
was.
No, none of it. Not one fucking ounce. Not one
So
iota.
you don't think there is such, but you do think there's such thing as freestyle.
There is such thing as a freestyle, yes.
As just off the top of your head, just making stuff up.
And you can tell the difference if you have even a not keen ear, you can tell the difference.
The bars are just too tight for it
Yes.
just to be made up.
There's a lot of tricks freestylers use too. A lot of tricks. Like supernatural.
Have you seen the Juice World when he freestyles allegedly for an hour straight?
No.
Or 40 minutes or something?
No.
I'm sure he's using a lot of tricks and if you look back, he just said the same thing 8 times or whatever.
Again, there's a lot of like they also have a lot of words that they know will work and they listen.
And don't you think that freestylers have like rhymes in their pocket?
Yes. Well, that's the discussion. But is the whole thing in their pocket, which still is impressive for them just to have that? Or is it like you have where you just go off and then you come back to.
But as long as you have chunks in your pocket, it's like having cue cards for your speech. You
I
know,
think so,
you just need that little bit to get to in case you get stuck.
I will say this, Kamar. This is the weird thing to me is like that LA Leakers thing. Like he spits absolute fire for like 2 minutes.
Enunciates the words.
And this is the thing. I mean, maybe this is where I look at it is why throw away that incredible verse? Right? Because that's what he's doing. Like if I'm right, he obviously wrote that to go on a show and do, because there's no hook, right? That's the one thing it's missing as a song is there's no hook and second verse. But why throw away that fire? That's the only thing I would agree with you with is like, why would you give away that goodness where you could make a track out of that? No problem. You have a million producers at your fucking...
Well, someone could just take that and make a song out of it, no?
Listen, I've actually ripped that and I have it on my iTunes. So like I listen to that all the time. It's a Dom Kennedy beat, but
According to Freddie Gibbs, Michael Jackson is alive.
yeah, Mike alive.
And whoop Tupac's ass.
I could not believe that in any fucking capacity.
I know, but Freddie Gibbs is hilarious.
Yeah, he's
Like he did not get a chance to fly and spread his wings on this podcast.
I agree.
Simon, do you agree?
I'm not sure, Kamar. I didn't really hear enough from him to even formulate an opinion, frankly.
The weird thing was when he was at Babylon, and I get it, it's like he was just with his manager and his agent, I guess, but like didn't look like he said 2 words. And I was like within 5 feet of him. Like he didn't look like a talkative guy. But I know he has a good sense of humor because I follow his Instagram.
I think most rappers
When he said hit it from the bike, I laughed so hard because Joe was like, from the bike? What do you
would be
back?
Yeah, from the back. Yeah, from the bike.
Just bummed to be in Ottawa in general. Just waiting to leave.
In the winter, yeah, for sure.
Then he talked about how Tupac and Mickey Rourke used to roll.
Yeah, I knew that.
And then they talked about The Wrestler. Have you seen this movie?
Yeah.
And that's the movie game this week. It's the movie game.
Where, Simon?
You still
There's
don't have-
no,
Oh
man.
my God.
Dude,
what do we
stop
gotta do? What do we
fucking
gotta do?
burying the
Don't say
lead.
anything. Don't say anything. No one can see this. Unbelievable. I keep waiting for this moment. When it happens,
Amar,
it's gonna
what do you
be
mean no one can see this?
so excited. I take it back. I just
This
realized
shit's
that.
running, son.
I just realized that. Bury the lead. It's coming.
Okay, the wrestler with
It's
Mickey
coming.
Rourke.
Where Simon and Matt go head to head to see what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week is The Wrestler, directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Mickey Rourke, Marissa Tomei, Evan Rachel Wood. Isn't she the one who just came out against Marilyn Manson?
I have no idea. I don't have a pen.
The Wrestler is the movie story of that's the real them breaks, that sort of circuit of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Underneath the B League or whatever.
Oh.
And those guys are there, and that is a tough run.
Oh, dude. I saw one the other day on Reddit where, like, I guess they're in like a shitty auditorium and it's all like folding metal chairs. And the dude like has the guy in the middle of the ring like knocked out, and he gets the whole crowd. He's like, I want you guys to throw every single chair. And dude, they throw every chair into the middle of the ring on this guy.
And they're not like props?
No.
Yeah.
Just getting
Savages.
I was like, this is nuts.
Have you guys seen the Peanut Butter Falcon?
Why does that seem?
It's a Shia LaBeouf. Is that a
Yes,
Shia LaBeouf?
I've seen it.
It's not a horrible movie.
Yeah, it's not good. It's the one
It's not a horrible movie.
about his dad.
No, that's Honey Boy.
Oh.
Peanut Butter Falcon's about a special needs kid that
Oh
wants
yeah,
to become a wrestler.
it's terrible too.
No,
Wait,
it
where
isn't.
he
It's
plays a
all
special
right.
needs kid?
No.
Okay.
No, they won a Golden Glove. Golden Glove.
No,
Award.
it won a Golden Globe. That's the opposite of the Golden Globe.
That's like the
for
Razzies,
shitty
yeah.
movies.
It's not a
The Fromash.
bad. It's not a bad. Movie.
It's the secondary Razzies, the Golden Globes.
It's not a bad movie, but it involves wrestling or that
hey,
low grade.
After
wrestling.
the movie game, are we done with this episode?
Yeah.
No, we could go on for hours.
No, it's a hunt. No. We're done with this episode.
Crazy, man.
Okay, I have a year. Simon, do you?
Well, I have it in my head.
Okay, say your year.
Well, I want to say 2006, but I'm gonna say 2007.
Okay, I have 2010.
Oh, Simon, you're so close. 2008. Oh, fuck. 2008.
All right, 2008.
All right, are you ready? Because I have my shit already.
No, just give me 1 second here. I got to formulate a plan in my head.
I mean, there's no special effects in this movie.
I think it cost.
No makeup either, because Mickey Rourke's face was already fucked.
I think it cost 17 million to make, and it grossed 84 million.
I wrote that down for you. I said it cost 25.3, and it made 68.9.
Oh, wow, guys. This is a lot cheaper.
Oh,
it cost $6 million to make.
Wow.
With all those actors.
44.7 million.
Holy fuck.
Gross movie.
You didn't like it?
That's a great return on investment.
Yeah, that's a
that
nice
is what
turnaround.
you're
That's a
looking
nice
for.
turnaround.
That is what you're looking for.
And then he talked about Angel Heart, movie I've always talked highly of, where Robert De Niro plays Devil, Batman vs Superman. Blah,
Why
blah,
aren't
blah,
we
blah,
playing the other movie game now? That we're
Oh
all in
yes,
the same
okay.
room
Here
together?
we go. Yes. We'll start with Marissa Tomei.
Fun.
My cousin Vinny.
What's his name?
Oh my God, dude, come on.
Pesci.
Lethal Weapon.
Mel Gibson.
Braveheart.
Oh, and that's the end of the movie game.
I don't know. Well played, sir. Well played. I can see a bunch of
Wow.
faces, but I don't remember.
I won.
Yeah.
There's the French chick.
The
King.
ginger guy that's like bigger.
Yep. And there's the guy from Ireland who is my country.
There must be one other famous person in that.
Oh, there
movie.
are.
Oh, you'd
just-
have to pull it up.
can't-
So
I can't say
that was
their
your.
name, but,
You fucked him there.
Yeah, I did.
Well done. Like Mel Gibson didn't do him.
You should have said Lethal Weapon 2.
Unbelievable.
Danny Glover.
eh? Yeah. Was it Matt Villain or Jay Dilla who's sending someone else to the concerts?
No, it's MF Doom.
MF Doom. Sorry.
Mad. What did he say?
He said Jay Dilla or Madlib.
Jay Dilla's passed away.
I thought he said villain.
Dilla died. A long time ago. And MF Doom just died.
But that's a nice little scam, eh?
So this is the thing. This was a controversy for like a few months. Where
He's not that big, so I don't think it'd be that big a controversy. I mean, he's big in hip hop circles.
in the underground world, he was like a god. But that was the thing too, is he was super elusive. So like shows just didn't happen. And I think that was it. He was kind of a recluse. He was born in London, raised in New York. He was part of KMD, which was like an underground rap group in the early 90s, and his brother died. And then he disappeared, and that's when he started rocking the mask. And no one really saw his face after that. But he was like a super recluse. But yes, there was, I remember when it happened, there was photos and like mad evidence. They were like, this guy is just lip syncing in the mask.
And Freddie Gibbs was like, if I could do that, I would. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to do it either. I thought that was sort of an indictment on himself.
Hey,
like,
Kamar, this is crazy, dude. Braveheart is such a stumper that the most famous person you would have known,
I told you.
and you would never know his name,
Yeah.
is the dad from Succession.
yes. Oh, fuck. I can't remember his
Brian
name.
Cox.
Brian Cox.
Yeah, exactly.
The-
Just real quick though, the fact that this dude gets to work with Madlib, like, just doesn't happen anymore. Madlib is also like a recluse within the hip hop community, and he's only done like he just
Freddie
released his-
Gibbs is respected bar
Oh, yeah.
none in the hip hop community.
Oh, big time.
What you didn't talk about, what they talked about, Kamar, and I thought it was interesting, was the Banksy.
That was my last note.
Oh, there we
That was
go.
my last note.
Hey, look at that.
Banksy picture and Bob Ross.
And no one knows
Said, who's bigger, Bob Ross or Banksy?
no one knows who Banksy is.
There's now a photo on the internet where they believe.
But Joe made it seem like, oh no, it's out there. It's not like there's lots of theories, but
I think it's a
is
woman.
no concrete. I think it's a group of people. Like,
Well, no, at this
Yes.
point, it's definitely a conglomerate.
It's
of
like
people.
QAnon.
Well, okay.
yeah, exactly like
Yeah,
QAnon.
it's exactly like QAnon.
Not exactly, but
BNon.
they talked about QAnon a lot. Or Brian Moses
Yeah.
kept bemoaning
In this
QAnon.
episode,
Yeah.
well, QAnon has become a punchline now.
That's such a weird thing.
It is such a weird thing, but that's what happens. Just like 2012, just like all of those things, when what you say doesn't come true,
Yeah, you're a laughing stock.
and then
Get
you're
fucked.
like, oh no, I meant 3 weeks from now, and I meant JFK Jr. is dead, and like you can't.
But what's the defect of the
become a
people that go,
laughing
okay,
stock.
you got me again, but I'm going to stick by you? Like,
Well,
usually
this-
it's, what is it, fool me once, fool me
The
twice?
same way people
Fool me
say-
once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
What did George Bush say?
No,
It
fool me
was,
once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I was
got that
trying to
backwards.
do the George Bush,
George
fuck
Bush
it up.
screwed it up.
Oh yeah, it was fool me
Shame-
once, fool me
shame
twice.
on-
You never get fooled again.
Fool me once, shame on
He go-
you.
no, well, he fucks it up. He
Fool
goes-
me twice.
No, the
Well,
best
you
is
fool
he-
me twice, you never fool me again.
The best he goes, there's a saying in Texas. Well, it's in Tennessee, but I'm sure. Or he goes, there's a saying in Tennessee. Well, it's in Texas, but I'm sure it's in Tennessee. And he goes, it's fool me once, shame. Nope, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you never get fooled again.
Anyways, he's a much better president than Donald Trump, they say. And
Low bar.
were you guys upset when we put the graphic, because they're talking about graphic cigarette packs? We have that here.
It didn't bother me.
Can we finish with Banksy though before we get to graphics?
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah,
Sure.
Because they were talking about how brilliant that painting was,
The
the shredding
shredder.
painter, and I'm just curious as to what you guys thought about that.
I actually thought the one he did before that was far more genius. The one he did before that was, so what he did, he had sold the most expensive piece of street art at Sotheby's. So then he drew a Sotheby's auction of them buying his painting, and he called it Idiots. And that broke the record.
That's funny.
And I thought that was, to me, just the fucking most
But
brilliant
what
shit
did you
ever.
think of the?
I don't know how
Disintegrating
no one
line.
could notice that there was a shredder on the bottom of the frame.
I think the whole thing was planned. I think it was planned with Sotheby's. I don't think it was like this genius thing.
It's all a prank or a gimmick.
Listen, someone bought a $35,000 banana duct taped to a wall at Art Basel 2 years ago. So,
A Banksy?
no. Someone duct taped a fucking
Someone
banana.
ate the banana.
During the show, someone ate the banana, yes. But someone had already purchased it at that point.
But the whole story of this is this Banksy art piece, and what? No, it's shredding. Like, I just don't understand. I didn't see. Just never looked at the bottom of the painting.
Shredder was in the frame.
Still, you just never. Do you
Well,
understand what
you
I'm saying?
don't see.
Hold on. I'm with Kamar, though. I think what he's saying is this. When they, like, authenticate something, I believe they take it out of the frame. It's like, you know what I mean?
Maddie, this is what I'm saying. Sotheby's was for sure. in
Everyone
on it.
was in on it.
I don't get how this hasn't like been exposed yet. You know.
I don't know.
And the shredded painting is just
Probably
valuable
doubled in
as that.
value right away. Like,
I agree with what Joe said there.
It did.
yeah, there you go. So that's what I'm saying. It's
But
weird.
it's stupid. I think the whole thing was stupid. Anyways, I don't not like Banksy. I think his shit is cool, but that kind of crap, I'm just like,
Is he in trouble with the law if he reveals his identity for graffiti or anything?
I'm sure he's been in trouble with the law many times.
If he's one person,
I mean, it's not like he committed murder.
if they are one person, pardon me, I don't want to gender Banksy.
He did print all that fake UK currency with
his picture on it.
someone's picture on it, and that's definitely a crime.
Well, I mean, it's a crime to pass off fake bills that look like real bills. I'm not sure it's a crime to make bills with
you might be right. Yeah, you
person's
might be
face
right. Yeah,
on
I don't
it.
know.
That's art.
I feel
That's
like
the whole point.
Well, yeah.
the volume of work seems a lot for one person.
Well, keep in mind though, the early days, it was literally just like stencil work, which Simon can tell you. Once you cut the stencil, you're just fucking
You just have
blasting
to be-
hundreds of fucking shit out,
You
right?
just have to be a prolific traveler at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting some of the theories out there, like he's part of maybe a lead singer in a band. Like I don't remember.
I heard he was
what
part of.
band
It was not Chemical Brothers. Maybe it was Chemical Brothers, but yes,
because when they like look at where his pieces show up,
It's
they,
like it follows their
follow
travel
their
dates, yeah.
Tour. But it may have been he just followed
he's a
around
roadie.
that tour for a little bit. I
Yeah.
doubt he was a roadie, but you know, if you're a guy whose job is to bomb cities with your art, I would just be going places where there are festivals going on because I'd want to, you know what I mean?
but Simon, you'll love this conspiracy. Think about it. If you think it's a group of people, it could be a group of stagehands or roadies.
Yeah, it totally could.
You know what I mean? And it works perfectly for them because they get to travel for work, and then in their off time, just bomb the city.
Well, it could just be, by that logic, it could be anybody who does a lot of
Of course.
traveling,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
listen, that's why you're saying there's a million. That's the beauty of this Banksy thing is.
But like it would beg to reason that like the same principles that applied to Warhol and his factory, where at the end people were convinced that Warhol wasn't even painting things anymore, and he was doing a lot of stencil work too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these things were being made for him, and he would show
Just
up
sign.
and sign for
Yeah.
3 hours, just all the work, and then he would pay these people good. I don't know what the logistics were. And
Well, it's like
then
Mr. Brainwash, right? Kind of the same.
It's what was that? What his name was? Mr. Brainwash.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where I was exit through the gift shop.
yeah, that's what that is.
Mr.
exactly.
Brainwash, yeah.
But that whole thing was another fucking.
But I think that was all set up too.
Yeah.
Like
That guy's not real, right?
Well, there's a lot of people that think
I don't
Banksy
think
set
so.
that whole, like, that was
this-
just a long
this is
con.
what
Yeah.
I agree with.
But the
that.
beauty is when you're this good at this stuff, you don't even have to work anymore and people do the work for you.
Well, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like, this could be all legit, and now we're doing the legwork of being like, he's a genius if he masterminded this whole, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, say what you want about Banksy, who it is, what he does, how it's done. The cleverness, you can't take that
Oh,
away.
it's second to none.
So, like,
That piece in-
fuck off. You know what I mean?
That piece,
Because-
the piece in Vienna where it's like the paint dripping all over the city, and eventually it goes into an alley, and it's a cop snorting
Yeah,
coke up the
that's
straw,
hilarious.
like that sort of shit. I could never think of that.
he has so many great fucking statement pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But it says
but
in
like the
Wikipedia
one-
it's directed by Banksy.
the one
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
And so the producers,
Well, no, but
stars, everyone has to know who he is.
no, I
No,
get
they
no, they
don't.
don't. But what I'm saying is, why? Because a lot of that was just stock, like was footage they had from back in the day of like him bombing,
And,
and
he
then
just sent a whole bunch of footage to an editor. And
And there were
No, and then,
interviews
hold on.
with him, but that could have been somebody else.
Kamar, you're forgetting too that in the documentary, it's built as though this Mr. Brainwash guy filmed everything. He filmed every minute of his life. So they had all this footage from this guy. So that was kind of again, we're arguing about semantics that none of us know the answers. Either way, it's a brilliant fucking.
it's the coolest thing going right
It's
now.
cool that it's still a secret, like in this day and age of the internet and all of that shit. You know what I mean? That we still don't
Yeah.
know who this is.
We're forgetting too. Don't forget he built that hotel in Palestine. That was fucking insane.
And Dismaland, did you
yeah,
ever see
Dismaland.
that?
Yeah, that was fucking beautiful.
But when you look at like Banksy, he did pieces on the West Wall.
Yeah, where
it's
it was like the
cutouts.
sunshine. Yeah, yeah.
and it looks like paradise
Yeah.
on the other side.
The West Bank.
Or What did I say?
The West Wall.
Well, isn't that the West Wall though?
I don't know. I just know it's
think-
the West Bank.
Anyways,
But yeah.
I think
How he ever
I think
did that
wall
without
is
anyone
called
seeing.
the West Wall. Anyways, it doesn't matter. That's putting your life at risk, my friend.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
Keep in mind, though, if you're rich, you could argue that you just go pay these fucking wall guards an obscene amount of money, and you just tell them, "Listen, I'm going to paint something on the wall."
Yeah, I'm not sure it works like that.
I'm not sure it is
there.
either, but you never know with the right handlers.
places-
Simon with the right handlers and the right money, just
for-
about anything
for
is
sure.
fucking possible.
But remember now, he puts a piece up, they come up, they jackhammer it off of the street to sell it at Sotheby's. Oh, that's
Speaking
what
of
I wanted
which,
to say.
I went to that thing in Toronto.
You did, yeah, the one that got jacked,
Well,
supposedly.
forget about it getting jacked. When we started walking through, I was like, "This is a fucking
But that's
scam."
not done by Banksy.
No, of
That's
course.
done by.
I knew that going in, but I was like, I'd just like to see some of this work in person. But when I got there, I was like, this is like a door they stole off someone's bodega and then sold. Or like the bodega owner sold. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like when I traveled through. I went through Europe at one point, and
Yeah.
I remember we were in some place, wherever, France, and we were staying in some hostel, and I see this Salvador Dali exhibition is in town, and I'm so excited because he's like one of my favorite artists, and at that time he was like, this was a long time ago.
I think he's still the shit, but
No, I mean he's not. I just have people I like more now.
Fair
at
enough.
that point, he was like my fave.
gotcha.
This was grade 11 or something. So we go to see the show, and it's impressive, kind of nothing huge, a couple little sculptures and paintings. Then we get to the next town, and there's another Dali exhibit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then the next town, and then Amsterdam has a Dali exhibit, and Italy has a Dali. It's just like they're all like replicas, and they just set up these shows and get tourists to think they're looking at the real thing. What I wanted to say though, Matt, is the painting that got shredded.
Yeah.
It was the girl holding that's
The balloons.
out of all his work, that one's so shitty.
Yeah, I
you know what I
agree,
mean?
yeah.
That's even more why I think that whole thing was set up. Like it happened.
But it's more of a statement of his too. Like, you're really going to pay this much for this stencil work I did?
Well, no, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
That's why I think it was all.
Okay. I think we're going too long on this, but you just brought up a point. I would like to continue this. I'm going to write it down. Crypto art.
Put a pin in it.
For the post, Joe.
Yes.
You said
crypto
Salvador
art.
Dali was your favorite, and now he's not your favorite.
I mean, if I was like to give you my favorite artist right now, Dali wouldn't have been the first name.
And
I
is
came up
MC
with.
Escher an artist or a mathematician?
He's both.
Okay. Yeah, the last point I was going to say is Joe was shocked that these countries didn't push back on the graphic pictures on cigarette packs to discourage people from smoking, but
I mean,
I think it's a good thing for society.
I think they should put them on.
Yeah.
Like, again, as a former smoker, they did something. Not much, but something.
Listen, smoking has gone down drastically since they
discouraging.
implemented it, so it does discourage it.
And
for
you
sure.
shouldn't be encouraged to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. Okay, let's rate the episode, and then we'll have a little break.
God damn it, that was long, eh?
Whatever. When there's only two, we know we can fucking take liberties and go bananas. We'll start with you, Simon. I know you're giving it a 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Simon's.
I didn't like this episode. Like you said, I found Brian Moses he shouldn't have been there, even though I like Brian Moses. And then I didn't end up like thinking, oh, I love Freddie Gibbs.
But how
you know?
could you?
But
Like
even
Kamar said, he
from
was
what
cut
I-
off.
from what I
Oh, fair
learned-
enough, sure.
He was likable then unlikable. But it was 4 hours.
Well, they were drinking.
It was a long podcast. Yeah, Freddie Gibbs doesn't get to shine, but I give it 2.5. There's enough little things that sort of Freddie. It would have been much better if it was just Freddie, though. I give it 2.5.
It gets a 2.5 from me too. You have to know I wanted to like this episode.
Were you? I think you put exclamation marks in
Yeah.
the group.
What post did you see? I didn't see a post.
Freddie Gibbs posted something like
Oh.
walk out of the studio or Joe
Okay,
Rogan
because
or something.
someone sent me a video of Freddie talking to Joe, where he's like, "Let me tell you something, Joe Rogan." He's like, "Let me guess, you smoke crack?" And he's like, "I smoke crack, yeah," but I didn't. I didn't
This is
see it
just
on
a still
like.
photo, and it was Freddie like doing a selfie and Joe behind him.
Okay, I didn't see that. I just saw a video, and then that was when I was like, but it didn't look like the studio, so that's why I was kind of confused. I was like, Freddie Gibbs?
Well, I wonder if Joe would want him to put that picture out.
Maybe not. That's true. All right. Well, that was that episode. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll pay a bill, and then we'll be right back. Shout outs to BetterHelp.
Thanks.
Don't forget to check them out.
Sponsors.
Thanks, BetterHelp.
All right, moving on to the last one of the week.
The only other one of the week.
1612.
Bob,
Robert Bigelow.
swing your big dick, Bigelow.
My phone corrected to Robert Bungalow,
Oh,
which I think is a better name.
Big Bobby Bigelow.
Big Bobby Bungalow.
So yeah, I mean, okay, let's just start with what enrages me about Joe. And I say it all the time, but there was
Close-minded.
There was no greater example of it than this episode. Yeah, the closed-mindedness is crazy, and
But you're jumping ahead when you say the closed-mindedness, aren't you? Like you're jumping ahead
Yeah.
about an hour and a half
Yeah.
in.
that's fine. So we'll go backwards.
That's fine,
after
that's fine.
based
I
on
just wanted to know
Kamar's
that-
notes. I just want to get this all out.
Fair
there.
enough. Because I found this part infuriating as well.
Yeah.
Enraging.
I think we all agreed.
Yeah.
He was rude.
But here's he was super rude.
He was. I found it very rude.
He was super rude, and if you think that you're going to be rude like that to the alien community and you're still going to have people come on, no, man, no. But listen, here's the problem, okay? Joe, who should be the most open-minded of people because he believes in aliens to the nth degree, with very little proof, I might add. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as that New York Times article came out, Joe, like, there's no doubt at all now, which is fine. I'm okay with that, like, obviously. But frankly, not that much changed. Like, those videos, as great as it is to have those videos, you still have to take a lot of word from these pilots, which I'm more than willing to do. But Joe, like, is willing to take that word, but not the word of someone who's seen a ghost. And listen, guys, we don't understand this phenomenon at all. At all. Like, we don't. I'm sorry. It could be anything. Who's to say it doesn't have everything to do with...
First of all, for listeners, he's
Something
talking
else.
about like psychic viewing
I
or
think
remote
Joe,
viewing.
I think Joe's like molested by a psychic or something. he just had a
he was enraged. Like
Maddie,
he's disgusted by it.
I'm talking about anything, though. I'm talking about psychics. I'm talking about ghosts. I'm talking about goblins.
fair
I'm
enough.
talking
But
about
Simon,
Bigfoot.
what
like,
I meant was in this particular instance, what Robert Bigelow was referring to was remote viewing.
yeah,
In
totally.
this case, that's
But
what.
trust me about Big Dick Bob Bigelow,
Yeah.
who they never talked about, but owned what's it called? Ranch.
Skywalker.
Skinwalker Ranch. I can't believe they didn't talk about that. That's crazy. He ran so many tests on so many different things. Like, that's a hotbed for all sorts of different weird shit, from ghosts to skinwalkers to aliens to UFOs to portals to all sorts of shit. Like, he believes a lot of things. That just happened to be the one tiny point that Joe got stuck on in this case. But when it's not this, it's something else. The guy is super close-minded. Like, it's enraging. I can't stand it. I don't know what to do. Because in any other situation, I'm like, fuck this noise.
My problem is this guy's a fucking billionaire. He's not some shill like he's done more than Joe will ever do in his life, probably. And he did everything to find out what he was curious about. Like, that was his motivator. Give the guy a little more latitude than somebody else who has a far-fetched story. You'd think.
He's not. Now, granted, some people think Bob Bigelow has his own set of skeletons, you know what I mean? But
Do
this
tell.
isn't just a guy who fucking made a documentary, to your point, that Joe is picking apart on his show. This is a fucking billionaire who has spent his own money out of pocket to just try and find out the mysteries of the world.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. This guy's a fucking billionaire. He's not some New York Times author trying to push a book. Time is money for this guy. So him being there is a service to you. Like, most people that go on Joe Rogan, I would probably say 99% of people that
Need
go on
him
Joe Rogan
more than-
precisely are a barnacle on Joe. This guy is the opposite of that. This guy doesn't need to be on here. This guy doesn't need to say jack shit.
Sorry, Matty.
Go ahead. No, I apologize.
I also think that, look, this guy's on Joe, like you're saying. He's not pushing anything. And I think he's an old man. He probably doesn't remember things as well as he used to. And what he should have said every time Joe had a problem was just like, you know what, Joe? I have a whole staff of people who remember this shit for me. I'm going to send you that information. That's the best I can do. But trying to put him on the spot like that and make him remember.
I don't think he should have had. I think Joe should have been more open-minded, like you said, more receptive.
Tell me
and
another
let's
story.
let's have a better discussion here rather than because I think he sort of strawmanned him. Where it's like, no, with a murder you have evidence. Like, this is not the same thing, Joe. Like, it's
Well, first of all, he should have just like once it started going the way it was. Even Robert Bigelow was like, "Listen, I'm here to talk about aliens and this that." He
flustered.
Yeah, and I felt it, and I was like, I agree with him. If he's here to talk about aliens, just move on, Joe. Like, what do you give a fuck?
And what is your emotional connection? Like, Joe is upset.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have no time for this. Your interests, like, it was so weird.
Yeah.
And do you not think it's insane? Like, listen, guys, if we're talking just about UFOs, okay, let's just forget everything else for a second. We're just talking about UFOs. We have no idea how these things communicate. We have no idea whatsoever about anything to do with them. It's definitely a possibility, if we're putting out possibilities, that they communicate without speaking. Okay? That's a possibility. Then what he's talking about is very pertinent to the situation. Like, I just don't get why Joe feels like he has to be this avenger of truth.
He did not like him.
I don't know.
He was
They had obviously had dinner the night before.
And he was like, well, Russell Peters' Lamborghini is better. It's fully loaded. Like, it was just weird, his approach.
Well, and even then, when Robert Bigelow was like, why don't you come and bid on the thing? And he was like, I don't have time for that.
I'm not doing that.
Robert Bigelow should have been like, guess what, asshole? I'm a billionaire. I didn't have time to be here either, but...
You're a well-known person. That person would just go in your history, find out your dad was a plane, get the name of the pilot. Like,
oh, that was crazy.
The lengths that these people would have to go to is actually kind of impressive, too, to pull off the scam. And I think, unless he has done it, so Joe should go to one of these things.
Yeah, totally.
Joe should go to reading, and once and for all, say it's total fugazi.
Do you know what the interesting thing is?
Totally.
The interesting thing is how many, like, quote-unquote squares have been on Joe's show that he's like, you won't even try psilocybin. You won't even do DMT. Like, really, how can you say all this bad shit about it? And then it's like, and then this guy comes on and Joe just cack-has all over everything.
And it's not even really like a QAnon or like, I've heard some podcasts lately that if you say something against masks or whatever, your shit can be taken down. You can be banned. Like the key words or stuff. None of this is in that realm. Like for Joe to take his position to protect his...
Even then, Joe pretty much called anyone wearing a mask pussies, which we forgot to mention in the last one.
Yeah, well, I deliberately, for the listeners, any COVID talk in the episode, I try to avoid because it's a broken record. It's the same thing. There's no new stuff coming out.
Can I bring something up? Maybe... Oh, no, because it didn't work that way. I was going to say maybe because there were so many MMAs, maybe Joe was just jacked up this week. You know what I mean? Just running hot on testosterone, having all the fighters in. But then I thought about it, and it went fighter, Gibbs, and then this guy, and then two fighters. So that doesn't work out. He just seemed aggressive, like for no reason in both episodes.
And
is Simon awake?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I wanted to say something.
Okay, sorry.
Well, just the first thing is he alluded to Foo Fighters. Do you know Foo Fighters is what Army pilots would call UFOs back in the war?
Yeah, the unidentified balls that they would see in the air, they would call Foo Fighters.
I would like to find out more stories like that.
The Japanese, I think, right?
I saw something about Germans, but I think it was just cool that it became a band, and then now they're a huge band. And then he mentioned the Trinity experiments. Do you know what that is, Simon?
No, I don't think so. What was it?
Well, they both said these were just things that were to do with UFOs or paranormal. But I thought you might know. Because then he talked about the governor that brought a guy dressed out as an alien.
Yeah.
You don't remember that? That was for the Arizona thing, right? The Bob Lazar talked about, the
that
three red
was
lights.
for the Phoenix lights, which, again, if you think about that now, okay, the Phoenix lights, whatever it was a huge deal. You know, it really wasn't made into that huge a deal. Like, lots of people still don't know it ever happened. They made up an excuse for it. But imagine that really was what they said it was. One giant mile-long ship that made its way from, here to there. God damn it,
So,
man.
so the Foo Fighters, the Trinity experiment, maybe that doesn't relate. This Arizona incident, whatever, the current, because I guess it's 94, the Tic Tac is actually from.
Okay.
That everyone's talking, Fravor, right?
Yeah.
I think they said that.
The Nimitz video?
Do you think this is suppression or just just no one cares?
Was it 94 or was it like 2000?
Maybe 2004.
Yeah, I don't think it was 90.
I was going to say the
more than-
video looks too good for 94.
I think it was 2004. I think that's when the Nimitz
Still, it's like
incident
16
happened.
years ago or whatever, not like a year ago or something. Do you think there's a method of suppression? Just don't let this get too big, or just no one cares or apathetic towards any of this stuff?
I think it's the unknown. Like they just don't know enough to. What are they going to tell? Like,
And there's enough of the population like, I don't care.
yeah, I mean, enough of us rather just bury our heads and move on.
Because that's one of the things that he pointed out that made sense. Although he basically said, we know Elon Musk is an alien.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for a second? Because I
Sure.
don't have a pen and I'm going to forget this if I don't.
Sure.
What I wanted to tell you, Maddie, and I know you don't like this argument, but Joe, remember when Bob Bigelow was talking about string theory and how he was saying now they're finding out that maybe string theory just isn't the answer. They were barking up the wrong tree. I don't know if that's true or not, okay? But I do know this. Look, because it's science, because it is under that moniker, we just accept, okay, they said string theory was the way it was. This is how the universe functions. We'll take their word for it. It could just as easily that they're wrong and it was something totally different. That's my point is, Joe will always take that science and never take the mystical, the opposite end
the
of
X
the
factor.
coin. And he'll do that for aliens, but he won't do that for the other part. And I just think it's a dangerous precedent because what if that is the case? What if string theory is not right? We've all been looking at the universe this one way, and you should have been looking at it like literally 180 degrees differently. Dude, we don't know anything. We're stupid monkeys in possibly like the greatest amusement park of all time. You know what I'm saying? If I was Joe in his position, I would remain like a kid and just accept all information like a sponge, unless it was so, unless it hurt somebody in its propagation. I think he's become like the skeptics that he makes fun of.
Another problem for me is this. Well, I've been talking to people in the know, but there's no who are these people in the know?
And trust
That
me,
he relies on their word as bond.
Bob Bigelow, if anybody, would be a person in the know.
I assume because of his, you say that he has skeletons in the closet. I don't know anything about that, but
I meant
his success and his intent.
I meant skeletons in his closet, meaning just like Bob Lazar, just like everybody in this field, whatever you want to call it.
He was part owner of the Intergalactic Whorehouse.
Everybody thinks that you may be a shill, is what I mean. Like some people, he worked with the government. He did lots of work for the government. So whatever that means,
But for me, his credibility is he's spending money, not making money. Do you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to someone who takes anecdotal evidence to make a video to make money.
Somebody like Elon who is spending money to make money.
No,
Not to help society.
No. What Kamar's saying is like he's not in this alien thing to make money. Is that what you're saying? He's spending his hard-earned money to get to the bottom of some of this shit
to try to find stuff out.
while simultaneously not making YouTube videos that are like clickbait trying to make the money back.
I don't see ulterior motives except for wanting to contribute because he's doing two things, right? He builds structures to go into space that can house people. Which is such an interesting thing. Resources in space, like food, whatever. Like there's so many things to think of. I don't know how we're going to do it, and I guess it doesn't relate, but it does relate. He is super fascinated with consciousness and the psychic medium and life after death.
Well, as you get to that point in your life, I imagine that becomes a priority for these guys.
But he
Especially if you're a billionaire.
Well, this is what I mean. When you have the means
Yeah.
to actually extend life or to find out what's going to happen when you die, I think that's where you start putting your money instead of into, portal. Well, portals are important, but, aliens or whatever.
my one criticism would he be better served to do one of these things, just devote it to one of these things.
He has enough money to do all of the things. Come on.
But we were just saying you're best if you just focus on one thing.
Yeah. But
And Elon again is doing cars and SpaceX.
Elon's doing 100 things and Neuralink and the tunnels and this. And
He also has a super strong team behind him.
I'm actually kind of glad they didn't talk about Skinwalker Ranch because as much as that's a huge part of Bigelow, Joe would have it would have been too much because everything about Skinwalker Ranch, Joe would have a problem with.
Yeah.
There's not one part of that Joe would have been able to accept except for the UFOs, which is crazy.
The one thing though I thought about, because remember when he talked to Elon, he was asked about aliens. Like, I don't really think about aliens. And Bigelow sort of said the same thing from the idea that there's no scientific evidence. So what we're pursuing this stuff, we can't waste any time. There's nowhere to start to expand.
Well, I liked his
that
statement.
makes sense to me,
I liked
right?
his statement. He was like, as long as you don't think it's Russia or China, you shouldn't really care. Because there's just nothing you could do anyway.
There's nothing you could do
So-
unless you have an alien hand. Okay, here's a starting point. Now, you know what I mean? And that made sense to me. Not to mean you don't have to be curious, but not to put too many resources into following it up.
Well, yeah, his point was listen, if this thing isn't made here by our enemies, you shouldn't really care because they'll probly be able to fuck us up anyway. So
are you gonna do?
Just keep
What are you
it
gonna
moving.
And trust me, Maddie, if any of these or all of these abduction stories or sighting stories are real, most of the time they don't do shit. You know what I mean? They don't hurt anybody. They don't kill anybody.
They're just poppycock.
I don't think they're poppycock.
Poppycock.
That means they're not real.
There's no solid evidence. It's just you could talk about forever and just be curious.
I'm beginning to really believe that this whole thing, what they call the phenomenon, that's really what it is. It's one kind of giant thing that everything falls into under different names over a period of time. And it's just different classifications of maybe the same kind of entities under different names, meaning back in the day, they would have described it as maybe elves or something. And maybe those elves are the same aliens that we see now. They were just describing them coming down on horses made of fire, the same way the Bible describes things one way, right? Angels coming down. The way angels are actually described in the Bible are wheels with eyes and wings of fire. And it's a very different kind of...
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Our technology is caught up to theirs to where we can now at least recognize a flying ship
Exactly.
as what it is, as opposed to thinking
Exactly.
it's like you said, an angel coming down from heaven or just...
And now, anytime we were to see, let's say you looked out your backyard window and you saw these little green men running around, you
Yeah.
would immediately think alien because that is in your Rolodex, Whereas back in the day, when aliens weren't even a thought on anybody's mind,
Yeah,
they
I'm
would have
with you.
looked back and said, oh, sprites or imps or whatever.
My problem though, Simon, is that we know now through, multiple guests that there's a good chance that everyone was just so fucked up on hallucinogens and psychedelics that there's that side of it too, where you can't, it's so tough to decipher at this point what was...
Possibly.
But again, I'm just saying you have to leave that open as well because...
I do, and I also leave that it could be a little a column A and a little a column B.
Of course, yeah, you could be high and see the fucking thing.
But just hear me out on this one, okay? So
Sure.
you look back into history of let's just take elves or those type of creatures, okay? There's a lot of stories of kids being abducted by them and taken to lands far away, and that sounds like an alien abduction to me. Just it's all about the person writing the story,
Yeah.
And that's why Bigfoot, again, not to always come back to Bigfoot, but I think, look, if he was an alien It's only now that we're even understanding because of movies like Star Wars that maybe there are aliens, Chewbacca, Wookiees, that could exist exactly like Bigfoot looks like.
Where does it come from?
Well, that's
Just pure imagination. Because the whole time you're saying this, for some reason, I'm thinking a centaur. Is that what it is?
with the half horse, half human.
Yeah, like that's just completely impossible, or that could have existed.
Or maybe that's an alien creature. And then that's an interesting point too, Kamar, because like we've all heard the stories about the guy who wrote Star Trek there, Roddenberry, and how he sat in on those Majestic 12 meetings, or Majestic 10 or 9 or 8 or whatever the fuck it was, where he was learning how the galaxy really worked, and then taking that and making it digestible for the same way Walt Disney made space digestible with Wernher von Braun, so that 5 years later, when we actually went to space, people weren't like, their minds weren't blown so much that they couldn't comprehend what was going on. It's the slow burn, which is exactly probably why they started writing those articles in the New York Times, because they're slow burning us for something that's going to happen in the next 10 years, which is aliens are going to be dealing with humans in some sort of capacity more than just we see them in the sky and record them.
But the weird thing he said is if it's weird how everything's worded. If there are things, alien or foreign to this planet or whatever, some corporations possess them.
Sorry, repeat that, Kamar.
He said some of them are in government possession, some of them in private corporation.
Well, like Bigelow is a private corporation.
Mm-hmm. But then he said they were bringing this stuff out to see if they can do anything with it.
You're talking about the metals, right? The materials?
They're so vague. I don't know what he was talking about, but I guess so, yeah. There's the metals that the French guy was talking about.
Yeah, valet.
Valet.
Well, that's just it, is like the government has some stuff, obviously, and some stuff is held by private people, so like Bigelow. So unless he's willing to either let the government work on it or do the work himself, it's possible that it's never done. Lucky there are people like him out there who are willing to do that, because otherwise it all falls to the government, and we know what happens then. We never get answers.
I just think the problem is I don't know if it is, but it feels like it's a splintered approach to this. Like it's not a effort in unison with everyone on the same page sharing information.
Well, I mean, that's just not how it is. That's not how it is with space travel. You have 5 different private companies vying for who knows what. You think Elon sharing his space knowledge with fucking Virgin Airlines guy? Like, I doubt it.
Is that part of a defect, or is that just the way it is?
No, that's
Bruce
part of
Hornsby
intellectual
rage.
property.
God,
Like the last thing you want to do is give up. Like, let's say you're the first to any market. The last thing you want to do is then go and give all the information you've collected to your closest competitor. That's just the worst business model.
Doesn't
ever.
a rising tide raise all ships?
if you were if you were Bob Bigelow and you own private enterprise and you found a piece of metal that was going to change the way the world ran, meaning like all buildings would be built with this, are you like sharing that info? No, I think you're keeping that, patenting it.
If it
and selling
is what
it,
you're saying, though, and it just will be infinitely beneficial for all humankind, you should share it.
Even
I mean,
in,
listen, I'm
even
gonna-
in the sorry, go ahead, Matty.
Well, no, I was just going to give a terrible example that I read the other day. The guy that invented karaoke, he didn't patent it, and he did it intentionally. He said he wanted the world to sing and feel happy. It's $1 billion industry. This guy could be rich beyond his wildest dreams. Now, this has nothing to do really with what I'm talking about, except that, like you said, Kamar, if you just give it away, I mean, in a way, Elon's stuff is all open source, isn't it?
Not really. Come on.
I thought Tesla
You think
was.
Tesla information is open source? Like anybody can just use his solar energy patents? I don't think so.
Well, maybe not in that sense.
To
But
work with it and advance it. I was under the impression that's what it was. There's something he does. He's too smart. Well, for an alien, he's probably just average.
What was I gonna say now?
That's a great little science fiction movie right there. Like Elon was the dumbest alien.
So he left.
And was like, "Fuck this!
Gets to
I'm gonna
shine.
find a planet full of
Oh
rubes,
my God,
and
that's
I'm just
amazing.
gonna
And
dominate."
it's called The Very Dumbest Alien.
So
That's great, man.
Yeah, you like that?
You're like a burnout alien, and
Yeah.
you're just like, fuck this. I'm gonna go find a planet of monkeys.
Yeah, and I'm gonna fucking
And be
shine.
their god.
Yeah, and we'll see how long it takes me.
Yeah.
And goes back to show his dad, and they don't care.
What I was gonna say, Kamar, is even in the government, the different units can't work together and share information. I don't know what makes you think that the private sector would be any different.
You can give me 100 reasons. I think my point is just we'd be further along if they could.
Well, of course, a lot. And if your aunt had a wiener, she'd be your uncle. You know, like that's.
Do not gender my aunt.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not true anymore.
Neuralink, remote viewing. There's this thought that like it's within you and you have to learn it, or maybe it is just technology away. You know what I mean?
What? I don't think you have to learn anything for Neuralink. I think you plug that shit in and you're in.
No, but remote viewing, psychics. You was talking about that guy that could see the submarine or something.
Right. Maybe Neuralink opens that up for everyone. Is that what you're saying?
And the fact that we created it is natural. Like, I feel like there's an idea that's cheating to get to that point.
Right. It's not natural because
But it is
we
natural
made
because it was made from us.
Yeah, and we're natural.
So
Maybe we're natural, but maybe we were engineered as well, Kamara, and we're unnatural, and everything we do hence is unnatural.
Well, that's the other point that he made is why are we so different from everything else on the planet? Like we're so fragile yet so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Everything else can just live off the land. It doesn't need to create favorable environments for it to survive and thrive.
You could too. You could live like an animal
in a more warmer climate.
Well, even if I mean you would still need clothes to a degree, I guess, but like
some technologies.
Wait, hold on. I gotta say,
strive for greatness. That's the problem.
I gotta say this though. It's insane to me that considering how fragile we come out and how long it takes us to develop anything, that we made it this far. Like think about a giraffe. A giraffe falls 8 feet out of a pussy, hits the ground. It takes 10 minutes, then it's like,
right
okay,
off the bat.
yeah, like okay, let's get to living.
Yeah,
and whereas we, like, dude, it's fucking the growth it takes us to get to any point of doing anything. But once we get there,
no, you make a great
it's
point
astonishing
because as babies, we are so fragile and so useless.
totally.
We are how the fuck for sure we were engineered. This whole thing is a game for us. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
you know?
sense. and we strive for greatness. Is that what you said?
Well, ego is what separates us from like a wolf. Let's say a wolf wants to be the best wolf it can be, so it can eat the most food. We want to be the best we can be so we can impress the most people. It's such a different, like I think ego is what separates us from everything else.
But I'm going to disagree with you because you have someone like a Tesla, like Nikola Tesla, who was like a weird recluse in love with a pigeon, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily agree with you that someone like him was doing it so that everyone noticed him. Like, I think there are some people.
Ego works in a different way, though. Sorry, that's one way ego shows itself. But like, it's just this idea of being better and like Tesla, who was married to a pigeon. I still believe like a guy like that, in order to do the things he did and to have the ideas he had, he would have been striving all the time for some sort of greatness. I don't know what that was, but.
Well, this is what I wanted when I was asking about, super great athletes or whatever, what DNA gene there are in there, and then using CRISPR or whatever, right? So same with, like, why are there so few of these geniuses or once in a lifetime Tesla? Can you put Elon Musk in the same conversation?
Well, that's why they ask, I don't know. That's why they ask these geniuses to give their brains after they die, right? So they can, like, I think Einstein gave his brain after he died.
But does it feel like it's so far and few these super geniuses are?
Is it, or do we just not hear about most of them because most of them don't become billionaires? Most of them just write some code in their basement that's stolen by fucking Bill Gates, who becomes a billionaire.
I'm not smart enough. But
Well, the real question, I mean, what's crazy is this. You hear about the wealth inequality all the time. It's like, it's just something that you constantly hear about. But I was thinking about it the other day. The inequality that we really don't talk about is becoming apparent to me, and that's the inequality of genius. Like, think about how many people are exponentially smarter than the three of us in this room. There's a lot. And then you think about the amount of people that are dumber than us. There's a lot of those too. And I don't know if it's always been this way. Like, it feels like,
well, there's way more dumb people than smart people.
well, of course, but I think it's always been that way. But now it seems like the smart people are getting smarter at a rate that is crippling the rest of us. Like, I think about the smartest people in the world. What they know compared to me is staggering. I gotta let the dog out.
Well, like those losers that debunked Weinstein.
There you go. Great example.
What? We'll get back to that. But why are we creating AI? Like, what is our motivation?
Because we're never satisfied with yesterday. It always has to be better. We don't fucking need AI. We don't need any
like,
of
the
this shit,
resources,
man.
the time. What is our motivation? Like, we're out of control.
We
don't know what we're doing.
We are monkeys that don't realize we're monkeys.
And we
All because of ego.
and we fool ourselves that this is some sort of master plan.
Right. Like, this is the way it was always going to turn out no
It
matter
has to
what.
go this way.
You know why we think that? Because people like Elon tell us that.
But do you think the psyche or everything, like, there's time before Elon? Hey,
Yeah.
20 years ago, he was
And
nobody.
when it wasn't Elon, it was somebody else.
Oh, exactly. So
Pushing a narrative on you through the media and all of that
It's
shit.
too simple to just blame it on Elon.
No, he's just a perfect example right now of everything that's wrong with, like, humanity to me.
Why? But what if 20 years down the road, everything he does, like, what if Neuralink cures
Then I'm wrong, Maddie. And I will.
Oh yeah, you're not married to your opinion.
I will
Only
be
your
the
wife.
first
But
to apologize for
Your
it.
bias aside, do you think Elon's really smart?
I think he's very smart. Yeah.
Do you think Bill Gates is very smart?
No, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, he's very well spoken, but
I don't even think he's well spoken.
My question is this:
he's an anomaly.
How can you justify someone getting that rich and then have the audacity to say anything other than yeah, they're smart?
Well, I mean, we can go back and look at the story about how he got rich. He got his mom to get him a contract. Like, I'm just not sure what we know is really what we know.
But you
know?
just make a computer program that works, and then you make 1 million of those that sell it. Like, it's not that much innovation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's innovated anything.
Well, not lately. They haven't
Like,
put anything into
no,
R&D
but, like,
since
all
2012.
the Apple stuff or what Elon's done. I don't look at Bill. Bill Gates didn't invent the computer.
No, but
His genius inventing an operating system that doesn't even work that well.
Well, it
no, it
pretty
works.
well.
No, it works well. You're forgetting that, like, those computers run off DOS, or they used to, where you had to.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it means, Kamar, the way a computer used to work was you had this fucking shitty black screen, and if you wanted to run a program, you had to type in
run boot dot,
and it had to be precisely
backslash.
it. And if you fucked up any backslash or colon or semicolon, it didn't run. What Bill Gates did or IBM did was they created an operating system that ran like a Mac, where everything was on a desktop. That's the modern desktop is because of, well, it's actually because of Apple.
Either
but
way, I mean, it turns out that he wasn't even the smart one out of the duo. Like, I'm telling you, that was
I'm not
a
saying
narrative.
he's stupid. I'm not
that was
saying
a
he's stupid
narrative
or
that was
unintelligent, but he's
fed
not
to us.
He's not invented anything.
Yeah,
Simon, the narrative that's fed to us either way, like, so you think that all the money he's made after that is all just fucking fluke, that he's not a smart guy?
okay.
That seems crazy.
So fine, Bill Gates is a smart guy. I don't put Bill Gates and Elon Musk in the same conversation. That's just
That's
me.
fine.
I don't think so. But just in the same vein, Bill Gates is telling everyone you gotta stop eating meat. Bill Gates is telling everyone you gotta do this or that, the other.
Well, I mean, that's been my complaint the whole time. Being a genius in making an operating system doesn't make you a genius in viruses, doesn't make you a genius in eugenics or in fucking food consumption or any of that shit.
Yeah, but okay, but if you're super smart, you can learn about all that stuff a lot easier than we could, correct?
You can comprehend.
Fine, but even if you spent 20 years, we just talked about 10,000 hours like an hour ago. If Bill Gates spent 10,000 hours learning about fucking virology or whatever, you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true.
I think it'd be impressive if he invents something.
The same that rings true for Bob Bigelow rings true for Bill Gates. They both could be doing good. My opinion is that he is not. Again, if I'm wrong,
I mean, here, like,
I'll be the first to say it.
is Warren Buffett smart?
He's probably a really good businessman.
But okay, so is he smart? That was the question I asked.
Yeah, he's smart.
Okay, well that's this is kind of the thing I'm getting at is like,
But he's not.
but he hasn't created a
because-
goddamn thing.
Just because he has a space program doesn't mean that him and Elon are the same kind of smart. You know.
Sure, I'm not. I bet Elon is probably smarter than Warren Buffett.
Do
But
you think Richard Branson's smart?
yeah,
I think they're all smart. But
Again,
are they all geniuses?
It's more visionary. Or, I don't know. And I don't know why they don't all work together. They can't be that smart.
Well, again, maybe if there was a problem that they thought was dire enough, they would work together like the aliens coming.
well, I mean, to say they don't work together, I think is maybe a misnomer. Like I feel like they're all intertwined, maybe more than we'd like to admit, or maybe more than we even know. Because keep in mind they all invest in each other's companies as well.
And
Like I'm sure Buffett owns
the more
some
they work
Tesla.
together, the more they would benefit conceivably.
But that's what I'm saying is like, think about it. If Warren Buffett thinks Elon Musk is doing great work, he's going to invest deeply in Tesla because it's going to make him money, right? So in a way, he is working with him. Same way Bill Gates you might think of Bill Gates now as like, oh, he's not doing anything, but we could find out that he's invested in like 100 companies that again, 20 years from now could change the world. I don't know. I don't know what.
Again, it's like, what is the motivation? Are we just bored? Like, what are we going to get to? Because like this guy asked Joe, and I'll see. Do you guys believe in a soul or a spirit?
Yes and yes.
And so that it's the most unexplainable thing basically ever, right? And it cannot die.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
to be killed or whatever.
I don't know.
Well, that's what a soul or spirit would be, right?
Well, you're asking me to give a definition to something we're not even sure exists, so I don't know.
But you think it exists.
Yeah, but I don't know the rules of it. That's crazy.
I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's just your opinion.
Oh, just my opinion?
If you actually knew the answer,
No,
you
I
should be
think
on Rogan.
I think probably a soul can be killed somehow. There's probably some weird like incantation to kill a soul so you can't go across to the other side.
Because this guy was trying to articulate how consciousness and thought aren't the same thing.
Yeah, he was having a really hard time with all of that.
It's very hard to discuss. Just like,
So wait, let me ask you then, because just before we move off the soul thing, like, so if you guys believe there's a soul, then what happens to someone who's in like a vegetative state? Like, is their soul dead? Did their soul leave their body? Like someone that's
maybe it's trapped.
Well, if their body is still alive, then their soul probably is still inside. Maybe those are like the worst case scenarios where, you know, you're like awake for the operation, you know?
Simon, have you ever heard of trapped in syndrome?
It sounds terrible.
It's literally like you're. I think it's that like like you cannot move, but you're fully aware.
But if you want me to give, like the answer to your question, Maddie, is those people aren't dead yet, so their soul has not left yet, right? By that logic, I think.
Diablo
that would be the
avocado.
answer.
I mean, this is the whole thing of this guy. Like, we don't know.
And that's maybe why, like, the argument for being able to release people is like maybe you are really holding them hostage because look, if the other side
spirit
is
hostage.
something to
Beautiful.
be celebrated,
Yeah.
then, you know, you're holding back time they could be spending starting anew or however it works, right? Like, or not. And it's over, but I can't imagine people living in that vegetative state.
Do you guys think it's possible that
Would
we
be
will,
happy.
along the way, like stumble and create consciousness without understanding it? Because that's what
I know what you
he
mean.
was
Yeah, yeah.
asking. What this like? Why are we creating AI? What is the end game? Like, if we could do everything we wanted, what would that look like? And then self-aware. It's really
Just Kamara, I think about it like this: it seems like consciousness is such a complex thing that you couldn't just accidentally stumble onto it, like creating consciousness.
how can you create something you don't understand?
It would be given to us, like, meaning an alien will come and explain to us what we're missing about consciousness, and then we'll be like, oh, right, now we get it.
But for me, the closest to simulation would be in consciousness.
Well, and didn't they bring this up too in one of these? Like, if you could live indefinitely, would you?
Joe asks that all the time.
That was
but
that was in the Freddie Gibbs one, I
believe
think.
so.
But yeah, like so that like right there, I don't know that I would. Like I just
It's like my buddy's joke. We just want to come for 100 years straight.
But maybe
the best feeling ever, but
you're giving an
But after like hour 10, you're like, oh, this is just
after
fucking.
an hour.
you're giving an all or nothing scenario, Matt. Like again, we're putting like human emotions on something that maybe at that point is not human at all, right? Meaning that
What did I say?
You
I don't
don't
remember.
know what
What was
you
the all or
like.
none that I put out there? I don't remember.
Consciousness. Was it consciousness you're talking about?
yeah.
Well, again, like you said, we don't understand what it is.
No.
You said because we don't understand it, we can't make it. But I just don't understand what AI is or why we're doing it anymore.
We're doing
Is
AI.
it to make our lives easier?
Yes, because
Yes.
AI will then create things that will, like, the idea is that AI, like, what's the fucking AlphaGo?
Yes.
The whole idea of the AlphaGo was that they created something so smart that it could figure things out. Like, it's gonna create apps. It's gonna create programs where we don't have to do anything.
So
Maybe it could discover consciousness, Kamar, what it is.
well that
But again, hold on.
That would be the same thing.
No, but I'll tell you
as just
why.
creating consciousness,
I'll tell you why
right?
it can't, because like with AlphaGo, it has to play games. We have to feed it something we understand for it to be able to do it.
That again, that's assuming that we understand AI. Maybe AI takes on a life of its own, like in Terminator, and that's when shit actually starts to get done.
Sure,
because it has nothing to do with us.
But I feel like that's the only exciting reason why we'd be doing this.
I mean, don't forget too, I think Facebook created an AI a couple years ago that they had to turn off
that's
Start talking to
correct.
itself.
because it started talking to itself in language that we didn't understand.
That's correct.
And it was immediately like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's a little Skynet going here.
I would like someone to say we are working on AI for this. You know, and I don't think that's clear.
We are
Well,
working
no, that's
on
what Alpha-
AI for convenience, and probably in the by accident it will do something else. We don't know what that something else is yet.
But hold on, I want to say this. It started through chess, right? They wanted to make a program that could beat any chess player in the world
That's
because
no fun.
well, no, but because they figured they were like, it's a very complex game with X amount of moves. Then with Go, I don't know if you know this, there are more possible moves in Go than there are atoms in the universe.
Yeah, it's a craziest game.
That's crazy.
So the fact that they taught this machine to beat the best human Go players just through playing itself over and over, like trillions of times. Again, Kamar, you were saying, what was the purpose? The purpose was that precisely, just to beat humans at Go. But then through
But
that,
that's no fun. To create something you could never beat.
If I was
Because you
breaking
play a game, you might be able to win.
well, no, but the idea is that when you can create this computer that can beat everything, like I said, it opened up this world where they were like, this computer has the power to do,
Or potential.
yeah, precisely.
If I was breaking this down logically, I would think that it started with automation, right? And as you start automating things and humans have to do less, the next step after that is to try and figure out some brain to control that automation, right? So like when we're not around, and then that spawns the AI. It's all because of like human beings wanting to do less and less.
Well, yeah, but we've had this conversation. The idea of automation was that so we would stop working
Yes.
and that we would be free to do, and instead we've.
So is AI, Maddie. That's the dream.
That-
But this
one
is what I'm
thing.
saying.
Drive our
That's
cars.
one
But
thing,
this is
right?
what I'm saying is I haven't been fooled by the last time, like 100 years ago. There's no way that the automation that they're pushing on us now is going to do anything but grow a wealth gap. Because they're not just going to give AI to people to make their lives easier. You'll have to pay for it.
Well, what I've been trying to get at, say you live 100 days, just for easier.
Okay.
You would like to be happy for as many of those days
Yep.
as possible.
Yeah.
The bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Simon, you agree?
Can't see him through the plastic.
Yes,
he's
of course,
nodding his head.
Of course,
Yes.
I agree. It's a stupid rhetorical question.
Okay, it is. I knew the answer. And this is what this guy's saying, is advancement connected to happiness? Or are we sacrificing happiness, chasing this advancement with we don't have the motivation?
No, I disagree.
I think those are both really good questions.
I think they're good questions, but the reason I disagree is just because, again, what if I can give you 140 days so that you can at least maybe then get 100 good days? Right? Like if before,
If I'm no happier for those 140 days, then
but we don't
And
know
what
that.
if I could give you a lifetime of happy days a million happy days that you could decide at any point to stop. That was the point I was getting at before, Maddie, where I was saying all or nothing, because it's like you're saying I can live forever or not. And I'm saying once we figure it out, maybe you decide exactly how long you live. And when you've had enough, you just turn it off. That was.
I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know that human nature. Like, there's always going to be something that's going to keep you. It's like the cliffhanger.
You think that now. We think that now because we've only ever lived so long. If you live 300 years, you might be the guy who says, "Yeah, I'm out. I'm done." But after year 300.
The only problem though is that the only reason I would disagree with that is because we've proven the opposite. That like we just keep wanting to live longer.
Yeah.
Right. So I get what you're saying. Maybe at 300, we're like, "Fuck this." But
you want to live longer because we've never gotten enough.
Yeah.
And maybe 150 years we'll find out is enough. That's all I'm saying. We put too much of our like what we know now on what we think is going to happen, right? But I heard somebody describing
the hot hand fallacy. Describing
time, and they were saying it was like I'm going to butcher this, but it was like an cigar burning. Mm-hmm. I think this was Lou Elizondo who said this, the guy who used to be from TTSA. So right now is the ash. No, I'm
already butchered
I'm
this.
going to fuck it up. Anyways, it was just a really interesting way. Like as somebody else said, it's like a record where I'm going to fuck this one up too.
Just trying to get through one of them.
We're not the song playing.
It's just, no, that's not a good.
But the needle.
Okay.
And that record can be changed, and we are the solid point. I don't know what that means.
What you guys need to do, I'll post it on the Reddit. I watched this video the other day on YouTube about time and our perception of time, and it really fucked me up. Like, let me give you this guy. I'll just drop one piece on you that really fucked me up. Forrest Gump and The Lion King, they were released closer to the moon landing than today's date.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, no. Is that right?
That is right.
The Lion King was released in
1994,
and the moon landing was what?
1969, I believe.
When I was hungry,
so 20. Wow, that's crazy. Well, Maddie, that's like the classic.
But do you see what? But his point,
the Tyrannosaurus Rex is closer in time to us than it is to the Stegosaurus.
His point was how you. His point though was how you perceive time. Again, I'll post it on the Reddit and I'll show you guys after, or I'll send it to you.
I get it.
It's a very interesting video, but it's
Kamar. Sorry, Maddie, because I got to clarify this for Kamar. So the Tyrannosaurus Rex, because time, the Jurassic, the Cretaceous, all of those are hundreds of millions of years in comparison to the tiny little bit of time that we encompass from Egypt to now, let's say. Mm-hmm. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is closer to us here than it is to the Stegosaurus down there. And the other one was that Cleopatra is closer to us
than Jesus.
No.
Closer to Jesus than us.
No, closer to us than the building of the pyramids.
That's it, yeah.
And that's the stock
and that
Joe
just
Rogan line.
Goes to show you what a tiny, tiny, minuscule part of time we are.
Do you know that we also believe that the chicken is the closest living relative to the Tyrannosaurus Rex? And Kamar.
Is it just birds in general?
Kamar, I was
Birds
fucked up.
Dinosaurs.
It wasn't Gabriel Mock I was thinking of. It was Wentworth Miller, the guy from Prison Break. He's gay.
You said Suits.
I know, and that's where I was fucked up.
And I believe he is.
Yeah.
Prison Break.
My apologies
Prison
to
Break
Gabriel Mock.
Started a great show.
Season 1 had so much potential.
So much potential.
And then they got out.
Crazy. It got crazy.
Yeah, and then they got out, and you're like, okay, I don't know.
Not only that, man.
Then they're in Mexico in jail.
And then,
and you're like, come
and then
on.
the wife is in jail in
fucked.
one season.
It's so retarded.
Crazy.
I watched all those Stallone ones. Escape Plan.
What's that?
Tango and Cash is my
Escape
favorite.
Plan's the one where he's in prison with
the
Schwarzenegger. He's
I haven't seen that.
He knows
Lock Up, Kamar, is where DTA is from.
Don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Is money the problem?
With the world?
Well, no, all this advancement, like the ego, like chasing money, because he was talking about our spiritual maturity is sort of like retarded right now.
Money, I think, may be the problem.
As we've advanced so far this way, we sort of lost sight. I don't know if you agree with that, or I sort of felt we can't have all. Like there's no balance. Our one pursuit to create stuff and the new thing is losing light of what's important. That's what the happiness question was. You know what I mean?
Are you like secretly hoping for like a mass reset, Kamar?
I mean, that was the question I posed about this pandemic was sort of an opportunity for that. And it didn't happen at all. So I don't think I'm hoping for anything now. If there ever was an opportunity for sort of us to come remember what is important and we've lost light of it, we had an opportunity and we didn't take it. So, I mean, I'm a bit of a skeptic in that.
I saw this crazy thing about universal basic income. This guy was talking about because they haven't raised minimum, because the lack of raising in minimum wage since the 70s, the top 1% have stolen like, it was a staggering number, like $86 trillion from the bottom 99%. And the guy was like, that's why we need universal basic income to pay everyone back. I don't know if money is the problem, Kamar. I don't know. Like
100% money is the problem.
Well, what does the world look like without money, though?
Sorry.
A world without racism.
Sorry. Hold on.
I don't know what that looks like. I can't pick.
I'm not suggesting that money not be a thing, but there has definitely, we cannot control ourselves as human beings. So there have to be some, I'm beginning to sound like a fucking real
Jimmy Boom Boom.
Socialist here, right? No, but like seriously, because time and time again, human beings have done nothing but proven themselves to be
Flawed?
I want to say ill-equipped to deal with what money and power bring. It's like we were meant to live simpler, and we've pushed ourselves further, like Kamar was saying, maybe than what was right for us in this time frame.
Listen, I want to say yes and no. I think. There's a lot of people that have gotten power and been terrible about it. I think there's been an equal amount of people that have gotten power and been great about it and that have made strides and made things better. So it's the sweet and the sour. Like I just don't think everything is cut and dry like that. Everything's the same. There's plenty of great people out there doing great things.
I mean, look, we're all in agreement. Like there have to be hospitals, there have to be these things that are necessary, but do there have to be like,
I don't know,
Pepsi factories out the Yahoo and Amazon plants and this?
Well,
like,
if all the people have to be employed, there does.
I mean, listen, Simon, we're definitely way too.
If it's universal basic income, then that's not the problem, right, Kamar? Like we keep making more shit because more people have to have jobs because we need more money. And like at some point, if you took a step back and just, I guess, to Matt's point, said, everybody, you just take what you need, then do we really strive to make more factories and make more jobs?
So it'd be like,
probably not.
The reason
we focus on things that are important, like being happy and art, and I don't know.
So
taking a shot in the dark
reason
here.
why we're working so hard on advancement and this and that and R&D is to one day create a utopia.
But there's no such thing.
I don't think so, though, Kamar. I think that's been totally lost. We are doing all of that to keep everyone at bay, where nobody actually needs that stuff to be kept at bay.
It's like because of our progression and doing all this stuff, we're kicking ourselves off the planet. You know what I mean? Like we didn't use all the resources. We could just stay here. We had a simpler life. But instead we're destroying the planet to make ourselves happier.
Yeah. So that we can afford to travel to Mars.
It doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't. Nothing we do makes sense.
And that's why this guy really made me think in this episode. And I don't understand why Joe was giving this guy the fucking hard time. Because he's very thoughtful. And again, this guy is a billionaire. You know what I mean? And he's going back going, I don't think this is the best way to go. Oh, I don't know. I mean, no one knows.
I want to give you an ant analogy that I just thought of, okay? That I'm just working out right now, but I think is pretty apropos. So imagine human beings were ants, okay? And you were like a thing looking at the ants. And you just looked at the way we built, okay? You have all this land, and the ants are all building houses on top of each other in certain locations. You would be like, what the fuck is going on here? That doesn't make any sense. Then you have all this space that nobody's building any anthills on.
Why? It actually makes more sense.
Why?
Well, we don't want people... unless people are farming, you want a lot of that land to stay green. Like what we should be doing is building up.
Really? You think?
Yes, we should. The more skyscrapers, the fucking better.
Oh, that's crazy.
Why?
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
But that's because green space is nice and something you want to look
Yes,
at.
and it's important. No, but it's also it's
Which is
important
half
for the
of Montana
environment. It
is
keeps
all
us.
all the beautiful scenery.
Oh, I knew fucking Yellowstone was coming up here. Listen,
Yeah, I know, but I'm not suggesting that you pave every fucking park into a parking lot. You know what I mean? But look, again, that's assuming that we have to live this way, where everywhere we go, we ruin.
I mean, again, there's
It
just
doesn't
too.
have to be that way.
Well, there's probably too many of us, just realistically.
Well, then a pandemic would be a good thing, and not dealing with it would be a good thing.
Gross. But again,
Diablo avocado.
there are so
I don't feel that way.
There are so many of us, and we just pack all in the same places. That doesn't make any sense to me. I understand the sharing of infrastructure. I get that part. You need to be somewhere close so that we're not all like wasting money doing the same things that we could be sharing. I get that.
Well, also, Simon, even from like if everyone has to drive into work from an hour out because we all live spread out, it's terrible for the environment as well. Like,
it's that whole work thing, eh, Matt?
what if we didn't have to work?
Yeah, I mean, if there wasn't that pesky job
is
getting
it
in the
as
way.
bad if all the cars are electric?
Well, this is the thing. If
No,
like
it's way better, Kamar. And if they all drove
it is, yeah.
themselves,
If-
and you
if-
could
if-
do
if-
you could play video games on the way to work.
If
Just saying.
there's a
I
lot
mean,
of ifs.
listen, Johnny Mnemonic was set in 2021. Go back and watch that fucking movie. Like,
Back to the Future.
we're always way off on what we think the future is going to look like. It usually looks a lot like the last 20 years with just some new accoutrement. So
Well,
like,
in those future movies, the automated car is always taking the guy to work. Have you noticed?
of course.
Like if we have automated cars, we shouldn't be working anymore.
Yeah. But
You know what though, Simon? I was
you
at a
can't imagine it. No one can
can't-
imagine it without the.
Simon.
Dude, the narrative is so set. Yeah, go ahead, man.
We just can't. We're not there yet, though. Like I was at a Shoppers Drug Mart the other day, and all 3 of the automated checkouts were down. And the girl's like, "Sorry, I'll be there in a sec. I just got to deal with everyone. Then I can." And, and it's like, I don't know. I just don't see like there's certain things like
But those didn't even exist 5 years ago. So 5 years from now, they'll be probably everywhere.
And that store
and functioning better.
and that
I doubt it,
store
though.
didn't exist 50 years ago.
there's always going to be a need for people to work. Unfortunately,
And 200 years ago, we came here on boats and like. It's,
No, if they create this, well, this is another question: Are we creating the next thing, or are we going to become the next thing? You know what I mean? Like, will we create? So we download ourselves into computers, or will humans be the last of humankind, and then there's AI Borg kind? Borg. Let's say the Borg, just for argument's sake, from Star Trek. You know that as a reference? Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that listen.
Because I don't think we're going to go to Grays with no dick. Like
I
Joe
mean,
thinks.
the best thing we could do is figure out a way to to figure out what our consciousness is and how to put it in a computer program that simulates exactly what we're in now. That way we could just live in that thing for 10,000 years. We wouldn't have to worry about some sort of extinction level event, and the earth could come back to, it would fix itself. That would be like, as far as I'm concerned, that would be the goal. And maybe we're already in that, which is what I say all the time, but I'm just saying, like, Kamar, that is the best case scenario. Yeah, that's the only way we're going to save this planet, is to find a way to leave it without leaving it.
Yes. Well, listen to this. In my head, I thought, if we figured out what consciousness was, that would expose the simulation. It's all over. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's the
That's-
key. I can't
Well,
explain
that's
it,
what
but
that's-
Matt always says, and that's why we can't figure it out,
You're
because
not
then the
supposed to.
program ends.
No, not that it
cheat
ends. It's
code
just
or
there's a
It's not-
fail safe
it's
within
not
there,
programmed
precisely.
into the system
not
for you
supposed to know
ever
that. Yeah. And so
But again, that's just a tight little bow. You know what I mean? That again, that's
this guy was trying to articulate some really big ideas, and I thought doing a good job under duress.
Under
on
heavy
Joe
duress.
fucking giving him a hard time. He had a creepy mustache. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I watched.
That's my
He
only
looked like
criticism
someone's
of it.
grandpa, like someone's really nice grandpa. And there Joe was, like, browbeating this old man. Give me another example of when you communicated with the dead.
Yeah, I mean, that was disappointing.
I was waiting for Robert Bigelow to be like, you know what, Joe? I'm buying Spotify tomorrow, and you're fucking canceled. Like,
Well, I don't
dude,
think I-
he's that like.
I don't think he's that rich. I think
Okay,
he's only-
fine.
I, don't
He
think-
is 1,000% that
I
rich.
think he's worth 1.5 billion.
Oh, let's check right now.
I think he's worth 1.5
Oh, you
billion.
already know
I
this,
looked it up.
Kamar? Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Well, no, but as I'm listening to Joe berate this guy, like,
That's also according to Google. Billionaires, like he's probably worth.
how much is this guy worth to be putting up with this shit? I would have been like, look, fucking Rogan, he's shit bigger than you.
It's like you almost wanted
It's a pleasure to
Jeremy
have me here.
Corbell there to diffuse.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Like, I genuinely, I was thinking about. I was like, this guy's so rich. Like, he's there as a favor to you. Clearly, nothing more.
So rich.
Very
and,
clean fingernails.
And also, like, I don't know, like in the lore, you know?
Like, he would never treat Elon like that.
When you're talking about aliens and all of that stuff, like he's one of those names that come up.
No, but let's think about that for a second. If Elon Musk was on there
he'd
and was
never
like,
treat him
I think we can telecommunicate. Like,
I think we can get to Mars.
I don't think Joe would be pushing back as hard as he was against this guy. It was a
Well,
tough
no,
listen.
it would have to hear what Elon thinks about psychics, because that's really what put a bee in Joe's bonnet.
I want Joe to have an experience of some sort so we can just like
100%.
Get it out there.
But I just felt like this guy, like, his intentions were some of the best I've heard from these guys that are billionaires. Like,
Oh, he's putting his money where his mouth is, at least.
I think so, and just because, like, he proved in this why people don't say they saw aliens.
Yeah.
Because Joe Rogan will shit down your fucking throat.
A guy that wants to believe. Yeah.
Because he said, "Well, I didn't want to tell my wife because you're crazy." Like it was apparent. I don't know, because he said the poltergeist story. You know what I mean? And Joe was so disappointed that he heard a crazy sound. Well,
it was like he said he was a chiropractor.
basically, but
A vegan chiropractor.
But then it's supported by him saying, we can't lose sight of spirituality. What, like, very grounded and not.
Joe, who does DMT and thinks he might go to another universe. Like, why is that? Come on.
Yeah, there's
guys,
a disconnect.
Dude.
I feel like Bigelow should have done, or should do it, or should be interested in doing DMT for sure.
Has he not? He said he didn't?
Well, it felt like he was asking Joe, like, do you learn something when you come back? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there something tangible? I feel like you guys are scoring this low. I really enjoy this podcast. I just didn't enjoy Joe.
I gave it a 2.5. Like,
I give Bigelow a 4.
Oh, we're
but I
rating it?
give
We're
the-
rating-
No, I was
I
was explaining. I already gave Freddie Gibbs a 2.5, and my rating for the week was a 2.5. So I thought it was obvious that I'm giving it a 2.5 on its like merit, but it wasn't a good listen.
No, this was one of the worst jobs Joe has done.
I got a message from a Patreon this week that was like, "I'm officially done with Joe. I'm only listening to you guys," which I'm like, I don't. That's not really what we're here for.
That's not a great idea either. I highly don't suggest you.
No,
do that.
I see those, and usually the thing I say, and we'll go back if you guys
Say it's good.
say
Yeah.
something or something, use as a reference. We learned that women are the best astronauts,
Yeah, they're light and smart.
which is just pathetic on our part. Not, that
We only send men.
no, we need small people to get like we're so. but you know what I
True.
mean? It's
You're going into space, dummies. Figure it out.
We're in the Stone Age. Like you can't get an elephant up there ever. What I don't know what.
That's why
an elephant
Kamar,
up there
That's
ever.
why it's never gonna work.
I don't
man.
think so.
That's why we should be only focused on the oceans and
The
how we're
oceans.
gonna live underwater.
They touched on that for a second.
Yeah, because another thing Joe hates is the fact that there could possibly be things underwater that
my
he doesn't
God.
believe in.
I'd like to maybe have a James Cameron on.
Yeah, that would be great. There's another
he could
guy
shit down another billionaire's throat.
But there's another guy who put his money where his mouth is, Kamar. He's like, nobody will go to the bottom of the ocean, so I'm going to build a sub to do it.
But I mean you
Well, he built the sub for the Titanic.
I will.
you will never stop talking about it. But I myself agree like that we should know more about the oceans than I think we know more about Mars now than we know about the oceans probably.
And listen, they're keeping us out of the oceans.
Wait, okay, well,
let's call a spade
They're
a spade.
keeping us out of the oceans.
That's a relief then.
Please get back on Instagram and start, or get on Clubhouse and start this little conspiracy fucking group.
Oh no, but
they're keeping us, hashtag they're keeping us out of the
They
oceans.
absolutely are keeping us out of the oceans. And look, if they weren't, we would be going down instead of up. Like, this is a no-brainer, guys. A no fucking brainer.
Shut the fuck up. We should be going down, not up.
I agree. That's just the least talked about or
If
spoken of.
If I ran
it
the
just
zoo,
seems glaringly obvious.
Matt, if I ran the zoo,
I love how you need me to look at you. There's a
Wait.
pain of fuck. I can't, like, you look like you're
I can't tell.
pixelated.
No, he's a witness relocation.
oh my god, that's totally what it is.
It's totally what it is, except your voice is real. You need the distorter. Yeah, we don't have a hope unless instead of up. We find some sort of balance with spirituality, and you can't say God or whatever, but like, I don't know.
I mean, that'll be the real kicker, right? And I guess that's, you never hear about anybody coming back really and being like, yeah, I was there. This is exactly how it worked. I guess you do.
Well, he's got $1 million waiting for you if you do.
Well, no, that's what's his name, right? Who's the guy who had the $1 million prize if you could do anything to prove psychic being real?
I forget his name.
Or Redding or something.
This guy didn't like him. This guy said he was a fraud and that
He
he's
disputed
never going to pay off.
But this guy's having a contest. If you can have the best story about proof of an afterlife,
Oh, really?
you get $1 million.
Well, that's
He said
cool,
if only 3 people put in stories, I mean, third place gets $250,000.
Better start writing, eh?
So I hope, and the deadline I think was like 2 days ago.
Oh, well, I'm too late.
No, but you still can submit the story. Hopefully something will come of that. And the neatest thing, we were saying, I wonder, it's something that we were always sailing around but never mentioned, is the Jackie Gleason story.
Oh, fuck. Thank you. I want to say that was the best part of this episode because it made me think. I was like, it shows you what like top secret was back then versus now. Because now there's no way a president could walk just Joe Rogan into a top secret.
Well, they must have been drinking in Las Vegas or something. I
Of
was
course.
trying to, like, they weren't drinking Washington and like
and
show
flew.
this.
No. They would have sobered up by then.
And but Joe talks about Jackie Gleason all the time.
I've never heard Joe mention from the
'Cause of-
pool.
'cause
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the
Okay,
pool
because the hustler. Yeah.
But I never noticed him talk about this Jackie Gleason story.
Never.
He didn't know
And
it.
he's
Well, as if Joe is not immediately buying that UFO house.
$12 million. Did you look it
Give me
up?
a fucking break.
Did you look it up?
No, is it cool?
It's very cool.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up
It's
right now.
super cool.
Come
Just do Jackie Gleason UFO house.
no,
If someone on the Patreon wants to buy us the $12 million,
Just
alien
send us the
house.
$12 million. and
we'll work it out from there.
Dude, $12 million is fucking dick to Joe.
Well, it's a lot to Kamar.
Yeah, it's a lot to anybody, but nothing to Joe.
Well,
What are you talking about? That's 10% of his. Oh, well, you think that's 1% of his Spotify
I think
deal?
that,
So
yeah, Joe's Spotify deal was huge. Have you not really, you haven't
$100 million.
clued into that
$100 million.
yet?
yeah, I think it's $100 billion.
You guys are so silly.
$100 million, and they probably pay for a new studio or stuff
You
like
guys
that.
are fucking adorable. You're both adorable.
But the Jackie Gleason story, you didn't look it up?
No.
It looks like your typical UFO, what you might think it is, but how else can it be?
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I mean, if Jackie
what did
Gleason
he
then
see?
rebuilt the thing in his backyard, that's kind of, and then built a like alien house.
This is a crazy
He
house,
saw
man.
something that motivated him to do that.
I mean, listen, if you want to go as deep as Simon would go, though, that's like the best fucking op ever. You bring a high profile person into a setup location where you show them something that isn't actually what it is.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay.
A la Bob Lazar.
That's an explanation.
I'm not saying that's it. I'm just saying that's one side that it
I
could.
needed to hear that.
Well, there you go.
Because otherwise, like, it's like the one thing Joe said is of all the things you can know, he wants to go to that hangar and see that thing.
Yeah.
That's that just okay. This is what we're dealing with, and we're hoping that's 100 days from now or 140 days from now.
Why 140 days from now?
Because in the COVID bill, they had the 180 days to release all the information.
Oh, I don't remember.
You don't remember us talking about that? You know what I'm talking about, right,
I do.
Simon?
I do.
And that's what we're hoping is going to come out, right? All the cards on the table. This craft, whatever. I mean, I don't feel people are excited about it. And you talk to people, no one has the passion Simon has. Like, I don't know anyone who cares about aliens or UFOs or
don't know a single.
half the shit he brings up. Like, I say, oh, by the way, you know that? Like, fuck
If I said the name Lou Elizondo to anyone other than Simon, I'm getting a big fucking what?
could care
Gerald,
less. And it's obviously because of lack of evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I listen, I think it's interesting and I'm sure they exist. It's not on my radar. Haha, pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't right this second, but it will be soon.
We hope.
Maybe it will be.
Or maybe it won't be. It'll
Or
be another nothing burger.
Maybe it won't be.
Those are all my notes.
All right.
I want to talk more about the ocean.
Okay, well, we can hit the ocean in the post, Joe.
Like, fuck that, man. Give all that time to Freddie Gibbs, and now you're rushing me on the ocean, eh?
This got the same time.
All right, fine.
Do you want to rate it, Simon?
Like I said, I give Bob a 4, and I don't usually do this, but I give the episode whatever I said a 2.
You said 2.5.
Yeah, and I feel that's like generous. Joe was so, it was stupid. It didn't make any sense. He seemed so weird.
It was a tough listen for sure. But
He's
again,
so
Joe's also,
close-minded.
hold on.
Annoyed.
Let's also give, the guy's human. Maybe he had a bad day. Like,
No, but he's been like this for a while, Matt.
Okay,
You've
fine.
heard me make this
I'm
same
trying to give the
complaint
guy-
about
hey.
Bigfoot for a long time now.
I'm trying to give our Lord and Savior Rogan the fucking, just the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe he had a bad day. Like, listen.
For me, I give this episode a 4.
Weird.
Joe's seen better days.
Okay.
But I mean, he's our Lord and Savior, so like, he is only human. I just wonder, laid off protest too much. There's something there, but
He's been compromised
but
by the psychic community.
someone's family got ripped off by a psychic or something. Like,
Somebody's got to come on who Joe respects and give him the way it should be.
How can you
about
not respect
being
this guy? That's what I don't
open-minded.
understand.
Well, these old guys get flustered by Joe. We need like an Eric Weinstein on there who's as passionate about UFOs and spirits and consciousness so they can fight back against Joe when he gets into one of these
look at him. How can you hate that guy?
skeptic tank feelings,
I give it a 2.5.
This guy made me think. Big ideas. I give it a 4. It was interesting, and it was good.
Do you think any one of us will ever be a millionaire?
I hope so.
Oh, I hope to God. I hope all of us, because if all of us are, that means this thing's gone to the moon.
Or we bought a lottery ticket and got dumb luck.
I hope that happens, or conversely, I hope that no one needs to be a millionaire anymore and we can all just,
Get along.
chill.
I mean, Simon has a business, so he's most likely.
At the bottom of the sea.
Okay. Thanks, Sebastian. All right. I guess that was that. That's an episode. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. I can't even see the notes at the bottom. We do have an Instagram and a Twitter. It's at JREE Podcast. You can follow Kamar on Instagram
Kamar Babar
for the local weather. You can also join the conversation on the Reddit. It's r/JREE Podcast if you want to join there. We always post, well, Simon doesn't do shit, but Kamar and I are on there chatting it up with you folks. If you have anything you want to say, ask us. Comments, this, that, and the next. The YouTube. This one might be on YouTube. Might not, who knows, but I'm going to try to get Kamar and I on camera, and Simon can stay in his little bubble for as long as he feels the need. But it's youtube.com/JREE Podcast if you want to watch the show, see what we look like, see what Chico looks like, all that fun stuff. And, of course, the Patreon. Patreon.com/JREE Podcast. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. It helps us upgrade the show, and that's it. It supports us. You get the post show for that, too, so that's always super important. Anything in closing, gentlemen?
Oceans.
Oceans, okay.
Advocate for exploring your oceans, folks.
And don't forget to hit up betterhelp.com and tell them we sent you. betterhelp.com/JREE. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great weekend. Stick around for the post show, and as usual,
Keep your eyes open, folks.